Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
'Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. There's still time. The AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. I'm Michael McCall.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhammer.
And we're back with another packed podcast, a little bit later than usual. Partly because I wanted to get all this League Cup nonsense out of the way. Partly because I was waiting for some actual transfer news to drop so that we could talk about things. And partly because I'm on my travels. So I might sound a little bit different. I'm on my travel headset. I know it's not as crystal clear as before. I also talked last show about having an ear infection, on ear drops and medication, which means I'm plugged in my left ear and I can't hear very well. So I think I sound okay, maybe a little bit tinnier. I'm sure other folk will let me know if I don't.
I mean, to me, you sound, a little bit different, but great.
Also, I'm on my laptop that causes us problems and lag.
Oh, yeah.
And
hopefully that's not a problem.
Yes. And I'm down the Oregon coast and the Wi-Fi comes and goes. So this could be a fun recording.
How close are you to wildfires, though? Are you safe?
I'm well away from wildfires. I think you're closer to wildfires considerably than I am right now.
So you're saying I'm more likely to be evacuated in the middle of this than you are?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, unless there's a tsunami warning or anything, I'm good. I am literally a few hundred yards from the water.
Okay. All joking aside, we wish everyone safety and we hope everyone's okay and their houses and places of business are okay. It's a crazy time. It's
so scary. I've been trying to follow the news down here and just using my VPN to watch some the CTV and global news coverage. And just want to echo that. I hope everyone has stayed safe, and Summerland and Peachland and all the areas round about there. I mean, it just looks apocalyptic. It's crazy to just see that, and places that you know and you've driven through, and you know that there's people that have moved to the interior. I'm sure we all know folk that live in the interior. My wife's dad's family all live in the interior in Kelowna and different bits there. And just hope everyone has managed to stay safe and that everyone's property is safe. It's scary times. We talked about this in an earlier show. You can't even call it the new normal now. This is just the normal.
Yeah, it is. It's bad. I have coworkers whose families have been evacuated. I don't know, but I haven't heard updates on if they've lost anything. But yeah, it is crazy. Earlier in this kind of, if we call it wildfire season, but earlier, whatever, a month ago, there were some American politicians who were, getting on the backs of Canadians for not taking care of.
Yes.
But now that they're in America, has there been any acknowledgement that maybe this is not simply?
I haven't seen that, funnily enough, despite everything that's happened in Spokane, which also, for anyone that, because we'll have Sounders fans listening to this episode as well.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like Spokane as well. There were 60,000 people evacuated. And to think, the Caps just played in Spokane a few months ago. I nearly made the trip.
Yeah,
and it's such a big city. Yeah, such a big city. And it's such a city that's growing, both as a city and in footballing terms as well. And yeah, it's just really scary. Over in the UK just now, there's been wildfires, and they're on their 5th heat wave of the summer in the UK, which is just like
because
nuts.
Europe's had a bunch of fires too, right? Like Spain and stuff.
Yeah, Spain, France, Bordeaux. The fires were at the gates of Bordeaux a few weeks ago, and Greece has been hit badly again. And yeah, I don't know how you solve this problem right now. And I know resources are stretched considerably, but yeah, just hope everyone's staying safe. And all I have to worry about down here is fog and mist. So I'm quite happy to be away from the wildfire smoke. I'm down the Oregon coast, of course, because I like to try and treat my wife and dog when I'm going on an away trip. And we've got the Sounders game coming up on Sunday. We're both heading down to that.
Yeah.
Well, you're heading down, I'm heading up.
Yeah, we'll meet in the middle.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that in part 4 after Wavelength, because we've got a Wavelength song about away days. So I thought it'd be good to talk about it in that. We'll talk a little bit CPL in part 4 as well. Most of the show is going to be Whitecaps chat. We are going to pay tribute to the late, great Phil Parkes that passed away. In this part, we're going to look at the Whitecaps and Leagues Cup and some of the talking points coming out of that in part 2, and some transfer rumours, some confirmations, and some other Whitecaps news of the week in part 3, with some of my wonderful music selections along the way during the show. I'm enjoying them. Hopefully everyone else is as well. I'm sure Zach is loving my fall covers that I've got. And before we get into the football chat, I want to talk a little bit of TV. Ted Lasso's back. Haven't watched episode 2.
Neither have I.
Which dropped the day that we're recording this on Wednesday. Yeah. Loved episode 1.
I've watched it twice now. And yeah.
Oh, wow.
Once with my wife and once with my son. So yeah.
It's going to be different because it's going to be a lot of different characters. It's going to be about the women's game. But the first episode, it was that Ted Lasso feel to it. The kind of just feel good thing about it, emotional. And yeah, I was late to the show because I didn't have Apple TV. And then when I got my new television and we got 3 months free of Apple, we binged it. And then I bought the whole first 3 series on DVD as well, or Blu-ray. So I've always got that. And I want to go back and revisit that when I've got time. But I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be a little bit different to see how they approach it. There'll be some characters come and go. I mean, Roy Kent's back. That's my main guy I wanted back. Love the guy.
Jamie's not back, I heard.
No, he's not.
Yeah. The first episode, really, really nice and just different. Like, it was nice that they, I mean, we will judge it at the end of the season, but I like how they gave room to breathe this whole, let's just catch up with everyone and what they've been up to. Like sometimes that gets really truncated. It's really short. You don't get enough story or meaning in it. But the show just really gives it the room it needs, and you feel like you know what all the characters have been up to and kind of what's been going on in their lives. At the same time, with the reunion that you knew was coming in one way, shape, or form. In this time in a different city, I guess. Is this a spoiler to talk about like where they are in the episode?
Probably not, because I think most folk know the premise of this series that AFC Richmond's launching a women's team.
But the whole first episode's not in London.
No, it's in Kansas.
Yeah, which is really nice.
Yeah, which is also funny as well because a few weeks or months ago, when it was Whitecaps Kansas City, I was explaining to Caitlin that Kansas City is in both Kansas and Missouri. Yeah. And I was like, I can never remember what one the actual football stadium is in. And then they were addressing that in the show. What I loved, and again, we don't want to give too many spoilers, but like Higgins going to a certain museum and like his awkwardness in it. But the museum that he went to, I did not know was in Kansas. Oh. I want to go to that museum because I'm a big fan of that sport. I've watched a documentary on it. There's a brilliant film. Well, I may as well say it's like it's the Negro Baseball League, and the documentary is heartbreaking on it. And there's a great film. Richard Pryor's in it.
Oh.
The Bingo Long Traveling All Stars and Motor Kings. I've got it on DVD. If you've never seen it, I'll lend it to you. It's a brilliant sports film that covers all the racism of the time. And it's both funny, entertaining, heartbreaking, sad. And that got me interested in I'd never heard of the Negro Baseball League. And then I read more about it. I saw a great documentary on it. And now that I know there's the museum there, it makes me want to go to a Sporting KC game even more, so I can go to that museum as well. But Higgins is so awkward in what he's saying about it. It was very awkward. Brilliant scenes.
Yeah, very, very. Yeah, no, it's a really good first episode, and just kind of gets you back into things, and like I said, up to speed with most of the characters, and then you see where episode 2 is going to go.
Oh yeah, and you can also kind of see as well, because Keely, who I love, like when I first started watching it, I liked her right away, but as the season progressed, she became one of my favorite characters. I just loved her to bits, and you can see that she thinks they're going to get the crowds that the NWSL gets right away for this team, and it's not, because teams are folding over in England, and even the top teams struggle to get big fans. So that's going to be an interesting side of it, because they're going to have the reality that the women's game has grown exponentially in the UK, but it still struggles at the lower levels to get bums and seats. And I imagine that's now what we're going to see over the course of the series. And yeah, I had hoped to do episode 2 tonight before we recorded.
Same.
But I started to put the rundown together for this show, and it took me 2 hours. From a show that I thought we weren't going to have much to talk about, and we might just do a quick hour show, I said to you on the phone last night. Yeah.
Just a heads up to those of you who follow Michael's AFTN accounts on social media platforms. He might not ask again for a while. If you have any questions for us.
Yeah. What's on your mind, Caps fans? A lot was the answer. Rightly so. So we'll get into those in part 2. Last TV thing just to talk about, again with no spoilers. We're both. You're ahead of me. Yeah, I'm one episode ahead. We're both watching Australian Traitors season 4. No, season 3.
Season 3.
Season 3, because the first 2 seasons of Australian Traitors were mixed. Season 1 had some of the worst faithfuls ever in any series I've ever watched. And season 2 maybe outdid that. But there's one of the traitors in season 2 is an absolute prick and basically killed the series. So they didn't do any more after that because he was so unlikable, and it just killed the whole show. But they've brought it back with a new host who I don't mind, but I really did like the old Australian host. But the host of this one, she's really grown in me as the episodes have gone on, because she's quite quirky.
Yeah, I love the host of the first two. The first two, yeah. This one, yeah, I agree with you, is growing on me. But those first 2 Australia seasons. See, I've watched so many Traitors now that I always forget which is which. But even though I think my perspectives wouldn't be that different than what you said, I still found them really engaging. And
they were just so dumb.
I liked that location they filmed at.
Oh yeah,
I liked it better than this one, because this one they're now at where the New Zealand.
Yeah, it's so weird, because I watched Taskmaster, and I was saying to you, Australian Taskmaster is filmed in New Zealand, where they do New Zealand Taskmaster. I don't know if it's just cheaper to film in New Zealand or what, but it is very, very odd. But the Australian one, it's all people that have been on Australian reality shows. So I only know one of them, but I know him because he's a comedian, Rhys Nicholson, who bizarrely, when I was last over at the Edinburgh Fringe in 2023, I saw him perform. So I've been watching that going, yay, I know Reese. So kind of been cheering him on for as long as he lasts in the show. I won't say any more. But I'm really enjoying this. This is a good season already. Good traitors, good faithfuls, two people that I can't get out of the show quick enough that are really getting on my tits. Yeah.
I know at least one of them you're talking about.
Yeah.
For me, one of the interesting things about the series is I really like in other shows like this where you have players from Survivor and seeing them adapt to a different game.
Yeah.
And I feel like in Traders, as well as some other reality kind of contest shows that I've watched, they get picked on quite a bit because they come from a game where
it's ruthless.
Yeah.
And they've got a reputation for being ruthless, and if you want to win this thing, they're a danger to you.
Yeah, and the other thing is I've seen this on multiple types or multiple different editions of the Traders in different countries where they're like, oh, because there's X number of Survivor players, one of them must be a trader. So let's just go after all the Survivor players because then we'll for sure get a trader out, which feels maybe like a bit of a potential approach in this one, and we'll find out if they're right or wrong as it plays out. But I'm enjoying it so far. I'm one episode behind you, so I got to watch episode 4.
It's on Crave. I use my VPN to get it ahead of time to watch it because it's good that it's only 2 a week, but at the same time, I just wish it was every day. But then the show would be over within 2 weeks, and then you'd miss it. But I'm just really enjoying it, and it's a little bit samey to the New Zealand one as well. They've kind of gone down the same route, but obviously the contestants won't know that because they won't have seen it because it was all filmed before. And I think that is part of the problem now that the show has, because it's around the world and so many folk like ourselves are watching episodes from around the world. The format is becoming, some of the tasks are becoming a bit samey, some of the gameplay is becoming a little bit samey, and it's kind of hard to mix it up. But there's a little twist, something that we've seen in the UK and the New Zealand one happened in this one as well, but not the same way and with a different outcome.
Can I talk about one thing, which might be the thing you're talking about?
Yeah.
So, if you watch like the American one, I can't remember if they've done this in the American one or not, but there are some episodes of The Traders where they're like, hey, we got all these people, we're going to start the game. And then they don't start the game without like kicking out 1 or 2 or 3 people.
Yes, that's what I was getting at.
But then again, we're talking about sameness. Typically, and I think this is true of all of the times when they do that, there's a moment later in the game where there's an opportunity for those players actually to rejoin the game. And sometimes it's they have to complete a task, or sometimes it's the players.
Sometimes they'll get offered money to just walk away.
Walk away, yes.
To be honest, depending on what the money is, I'd be like, if I don't win it, I'm not making any money. I may as well take this money.
Which one guy did, right? Remember?
I think he did, yeah.
One guy. I can't remember which one it was, but one guy did. Anyways, that part, but I agree with you that they need to do some augmentation. They need to like change whatever. And to me, it was interesting how it played out in this series so far. I didn't necessarily see. I understand the reasons why it played out the way it did, but I didn't necessarily see it playing out that way in my mind.
I'm not quite sure the producers probably did either.
No, yeah, exactly. I agree. And I mean, I haven't seen even the ramifications around some of the decisions made, but yeah, that'll be kind of interesting to watch as it goes along. The other thing, I think I've said this before, but I did complete the first season of the Dutch one, which is the first one that I can find from TV. It's from 2022 or something. You got to watch, it's all subtitles. So you got to like sit down and like watch the screen. Whereas sometimes with traders, I like to be multitasking. So I finally got through it, and it is if you love traders, it's very worth watching because they do a few things different, and it's all Dutch like celebrities or like famous people or reality TV show people or whatever. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, even the way they end the game, I don't think I've seen the game ended that way anywhere else before. I've like watched a little bit of the episode 1 of season 2, but I haven't had time to like sit down and watch subtitles for a while.
Well, let's move on to the meat and potatoes of the show. We'll start talking Whitecaps. Most of this episode is going to be very Whitecaps heavy, but we're going to start with the sad news that came out a couple of days ago. The Wolves and Whitecaps community lost a legend as goalkeeper. Phil Parkes sadly passed away on August 8th, aged 79. And we just want to pay tribute to Lofty in this episode. A true Whitecaps legend from the NASL era. He played for 8 teams in his career. Wolves is where he is mostly remembered from. 303 appearances for the Midland side between 1964 and 1978. He came over to play in the NASL in 1976. He spent 4 seasons with the Whitecaps in the summers. Those seasons from 76 to 79 made 89 appearances for the Whitecaps overall. 26 clean sheets in those. 3 assists to his name as well. Not saying the Whitecaps in the NASL played a little bit of Route 1, but 3 assists for Parkes. And of course, all of that culminating in the historic 1979 soccer ball triumph in Rutherford, New Jersey on September the 8th, 1979. The 2-1 win over Tampa Bay Rowdies, and Phil Parkes was a key player for the Whitecaps in that soccer ball success and that whole 1979 season. He was named the NASL Goalkeeper of the Year in both 1978 and 1979. And when you think of that NASL era and goalkeepers for the Whitecaps, they had 18 different goalkeepers on the books from 1974 to 1984. 15 of them saw time on the pitch. Some will think of Tino Lettieri, who was the NASL North American Player of the Year in 1983 and was known for carrying a stuffed parrot with him, which eventually got banned by the NASL. Others, when you think of NASL goalkeepers, will think of Bruce Grobbelaar for his time here. But he was kind of a fringe player at the time, just kind of breaking into the game before going to play for Liverpool. I think to everyone that experienced the NASL era, for those of us that kind of have looked back at the history of the era, Phil Parkes was the man. And I had the pleasure of meeting Phil back in 2019. Lofty and a number of that 1979 championship winning side were guests of the Whitecaps to celebrate the 40th anniversary. All the way back on June 2nd, 2019, episode 357 of the show, we brought a number of interviews with various players, and I'm going to do something that we don't do very often on the show. We're going to dig into the archives, and just to pay tribute to the dearly departed Phil Parkes, I want to play the interview that I had with Phil back in June 2019. Here's Lofty. The whole 1979 soccer ball, when you've had such a storied career yourself, where does that rank in it for you? Is it like one of your crowning achievements? What would you put above it, maybe?
Oh yeah, that was one of my best achievements. You know what I mean? I'd played at Wolves all my career. I played in a UEFA Cup final, but that was a 2-leg thing, and it's not the same. And we played in an English team too. It's not like playing a 2-leg game against a foreign team. And it was just like playing 2 league games, really. That was the pinnacle of my career, to be fair. I mean, as you said before, I love Vancouver, and I really I left and I really look back and wished I hadn't, to be fair. But things happen, don't they? Like, and everything, like, you know what I mean? My youngest son was born here. Yeah. He was born in Burnaby Hospital. I found out when I agreed to come, I found out that my wife was pregnant, like. and he was born here. So he's lucky he's got dual citizenship, like.
Oh, that's good for him.
Yeah.
You were 14 years with Wolves, but you're a West Bromwich lad, and you grew up as a West Brom fan.
Yeah.
Was it weird signing for a Midlands rival?
Not really big. I used to go and watch the Albion every week with my dad, and then I played for West Bromwich schoolboys and Staffordshire schoolboys, and got invited to the Albion for the trainings. And it was like there was one guy looking after about 30 kids, and it was like awful, to be fair. And then I got invited to the Wolves, and there was like 6 or 7 coaches looking after 30 kids, and all the coaches were like ex-Wolves legends. And when I went back home, my dad said, "What was it like?" And I told him he was there, and he said, "Son," he said, "you stay there," and that was it. 18 years I was there altogether.
Well, you had a taste of North America when you were with Wolves, because you were over here in 67 and 69.
67 we were Los Angeles Wolves. 69 we were Kansas City Wolves.
Did that give you a taste for coming over
here?
Yeah.
I mean, when we went to 67, I was only 19. My first trip out of England was to Los Angeles for 9 weeks.
It's not bad.
And I'll be honest, I didn't want to go home. I mean, it was flower power, wasn't it? Free love and everything. 67.
Yeah.
LA was the main place, and San Francisco as well. We had a great time. We was there for 9 weeks.
So, you could have probably gone to anywhere in the NASL. What made you end up in Vancouver when you came here in 76?
Les Wilson, who played at the Wolves, Les phoned me and said I'd had a bit of a problem at the Wolves at the time, and he said, "You fancy coming to Vancouver for the summer?" I went, "Sort it, yeah." I couldn't wait, to be fair. Denny Veach was the general manager then, 76.
I mean, when you came over here, you'd been playing with top players and against top players in England, but I mean, what we're just talking about there, you're playing in a league where there's Pelé and Cruyff and Beckenbauer, and I mean, what was that like for you as a goalkeeper facing these guys, these legends?
It's something you don't worry about, because if you worry about it, you're in trouble. You know, I mean, I'd played in England against all the top strikers every week anyway. So it wasn't such a problem, to be fair.
I was reading a story. I've got a lot of the old programmes, and I was reading also Willie's autobiography recently, and there's a mention in it about a big game with New York Cosmos that got a bit out of hand, and then you were threatening to kill Carlos Alberto.
Yeah, Willie got kicked in. Giorgio Canali kicked Willie in the head, and John Craven had only been on the pitch for about a minute and punched Giorgio in the eye and split his eye. And I was the peacemaker, and I got the blame. And Carlos Alberto was having a go at me, and I was having a go back. And a voice from behind the goal went, "Phil, that's not very nice." And I turned around, and it was Pelé. And I got a great picture of my arm around Pelé with that. But our trainer, I can't forget his name now. He's coming tomorrow. I said, "Pelé, you're all right, but I'll kill him." I got a great picture.
The year that you won it in 79, it was such a good team. You weren't expected to do anything. On my site, I've been kind of breaking it down on a weekly basis, and you got off to such a good start, such a good run.
But we always fancied ourselves, we'd got good players. And then when Bawley came, Bawley was like the final piece in the jigsaw. And we thought we could beat anybody. We wasn't frightened to play anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then, your Wolves career, everyone knows you from there, and I know you still do. You were doing some stuff at the club, like an ambassador and stuff.
No, we've got a former players association, and I'm on the committee of the former players association. And we do work on match days. We take it in turns doing work on match days and everything. And they look, the new people that have took over look after us pretty good, to be fair.
And Nuno seems a really good manager. He's such a likeable guy.
He's done a great job.
He's
done a fantastic job. But he's got good players to work with. Like George Mendes, who's one of the probably the top agent in the world, has bought players, and if he can't find a player, who can, you know what I mean?
And when I was growing up in Scotland, I was a West Ham fan,
And for years, I thought the Phil Parks that was here was the West Ham keeper, and it's only when I moved over here that I realised you're a different person. Do you get mistaken a lot?
I live in West Brom, and he lives in Sedgley, which is
two
about
Midlands guys.
Right down the road. And he came to Wolves, and he couldn't get a game, and then he went to Warsaw, and started his career at Warsaw, and then went to West Ham.
And of course, when you played here, you were known for your hair.
Oh, yeah.
You still got more than me, and it's like you're older than me, but it's like looking back at all those old photos, like the game, it's changed so much. What do you make of the modern day game compared to back then?
I just, I watch the game. To be honest, I just think there's too many cheats. They're diving and falling around all over the place, trying to get fouls and get players sent off. And we never had that in our day. I don't know. It's a spectacle for TV and everything. There's that much money in it. It's unbelievable. And the company that have bought Wolves for sand. Wolves are one of the richest clubs in the world through the company that have bought it.
It's crazy, really.
The ground only holds 31. They've had full houses nearly every game, and they've got 9,000 waiting for season tickets.
Oh wow!
But they've just bought the plans out for a new stadium. It was in the paper. They're going to it'll be in the same place, just extend it. They could never move it from where it is. And they're looking at a 51,000 seat stadium.
Oh wow!
Which would be brilliant.
It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you. You played against my team in Scotland East Fife in 1972. I've got a programme from that. I was just reading about that last night. But thank you so much for your time, and it's a real pleasure to meet you.
You're my wonder, little wanderer, off across the sea. You're my wonder, little wanderer, won't you wander back to me, back to me.
Phil Lofty Parks there, Zach, just chatting to us back in 2019. It was an absolute pleasure to get to meet him, to chat to him. Got him and a number of the 2019 guys that were over celebrating the anniversary to sign my 1979 soccer ball programme as well. So nice. I've got him signed in that. I need to get Carl Valentine to re-sign it, because whatever pen I got him to do it years before that, it faded. So I've got all these other signatures that are all bold and good ink, but Carol's is kind of like faded. So I need to get him to re-sign that.
Carl's using invisible ink again.
Maybe he used that on the pitch to get by the defenders and stuff as well. But no, Phil Parks was such a great player. Everyone that has paid tribute to him has spoken about what a great person he was as well. And he spoke there in that interview about he kind of wishes he'd never left Vancouver and that he'd kind of stayed and made his home here. And I think a lot of the guys from that era did. And we never got to see him play live, but definitely a Whitecaps legend.
Yeah, I have seen lots of outpouring from Whitecaps fans who did see him play live and who have fond memories. Obviously I've only seen him on YouTube clips and old videos. A beloved member of an iconic Whitecaps team that will forever be a part of the club and the club history. And just condolences to his family and to all those who are grieving his loss. A really, 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 really sad time.
For years, and we touched on it in the interview there, before I moved over here, I'd seen the name Phil Parks, and I thought it was the other Phil Parks, because the chances of there being two goalkeepers called Phil Parks at the same time, but as a West Ham fan, as a boy, Phil Parks was the West Ham goalkeeper, and I always thought it was the same one. And then it was when I came over here, and I was collecting stuff and doing research for articles, I was like, it's a different Phil Parks, and we talked about it there. He got mistaken a lot for it, but yeah, great player. A great man, big loss, R.I.P. Lofty. But we're going to be back talking modern day Whitecaps now. as we touch on the 3 Leagues Cup games and some of the big talking points coming out of those, and we'll be back doing that after the first of 2 songs this episode from our Artist of the Month for August, Manchester Legends, The Fall.
Hi, I'm Carl Valentine. You're listening to the AFTN podcast.
Ghost in my house. Ghost of your memory. Ghost of the love that was took from me. But our love used to be only shadows of the past I see. Times can't seem to erase the vision of your smiling face. The dead flowers I sent me. I can't get over you. There's a ghost in my house. I can't hide. But the ghost of love in his eyes keeps on haunting me. Just keeps on recalling me. Down in my teacup, I see your face looking up. Sitting in my easy chair, I feel your fingers run through my hair. Though we're far apart, your spectre's in my heart. There's a ghost in my house, I can't hide. The ghost of the love that's inside keeps on haunting me. Still just a part of me. By the way I hang my head, you can see I'm afraid, but my heart knows you're gone. My mind keeps rolling on. There's a ghost in my house, I can't hide.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's the first of 2 songs this episode from our Artist of the Month for August, Manchester Legends, The Fall. And we're doing something a little bit different for them this month. We're playing a selection of their cover versions that they did over the years. Had 2 crackers to kick things off last time, and we've got 2 more in this episode. And kicking off this part, it's a cover of a song from a Canadian artist, Toronto singer-songwriter R. Dean Taylor. Now, Taylor originally released the song in 1967. It didn't really do much, but then the song became popular on the UK Northern Soul club scene and was re-released in 1974, where it reached number 3 in the UK charts. The song is There's a Ghost in My House. The Fall released their cover of the song on April 27th, 1987. It was their 19th single and the one that gave them their first ever top 30 hit, peaking at number 30, which also ended up giving the band their highest ever charting single. And you can find it on the CD release of the band's 10th studio album, 1988's The Friends Experiment. And we'll have another song by The Fall to kick off part 4, but we're going to get back talking football now and bringing things right up to date as we have a look in this part about the 3 Leagues Cup games, 3 games against Mexican opposition, 3 not very great results, and some concerns coming out of the performances. We'll kind of have a look at those matches and some of the talking points come out of them in this part. The 2026 Leagues Cup action kicked off for the Whitecaps on Tuesday, August 4th. A big crowd heading along to BC Place, in part because it was included with the season ticket holders. Officially, a crowd of 19,824 headed along to see Liga MX side Adelante come away with the 1-0 victory. Jojan Julio's 40th minute winner, very much against the run of play is what did the damage in this one. And it was a game that saw the Whitecaps dominate possession. They outshot the Mexican opposition 12-9. Atlante, though, had 5 shots on goal to the Whitecaps 4. And therein kind of tells the tale of this tournament and the Whitecaps in the return from the World Cup break. The Whitecaps created the better chances. They eventually started to break through the mid and low blocks of Atlante, but the finish and quality simply was not there. And it was the third straight match where the Whitecaps had failed to score from open play. And heading into this game, the big question was, how would the Whitecaps use the tournament? And the competition as a whole, and I think we've seen that across all the games, if you've seen them, which I've seen little snippets from them. I haven't really been watching the games. I haven't really just got into the tournament this year, even with the Whitecaps being in it. It is a little bit of a hard sell. And I say that as somebody that loves cup competitions. The point of it is a bone of contention any year. But coming back after a long break for the World Cup, this year's competition just felt like a wasted opportunity for MLS to build upon the World Cup momentum and the whole, we'll take it from here thing. We'll take it from here for a couple of weeks and then we'll take another break to play in this. That on the whole, the bulk of the fans that are attending this seems to be fans of the Mexican sides. They're the ones that are really into it. I think you kind of saw how the Whitecaps were going to approach the tournament in this game. Jesper Sorensen made 7 changes from the side that had started the previous Saturday's draw with LAFC. I think it gave you an indication that for the Whitecaps, this tournament, these 3 games, was more about getting minutes for players, especially the fringe players, taking a look at some of them in particular, than going out to try and lift some silverware. And with the format of the competition, where only the top 4 MLS sides advanced to the quarterfinals and the top 4 Liga MX sides advanced to the quarterfinals, it did mean that a defeat in any of the games was likely to mean that you're going to miss out. You could still get through on 6 points, but kicking it off with a defeat, it kind of already felt that the Whitecaps League Cup campaign was over before it had even really begun. And I've got to admit, that defeat, it kind of switched it off for me for the whole tournament. And I was planning to go to the game on the Friday against Juarez at BC Place and then head off to my trip down to the States. But I was like, you know what? If the Caps aren't really taking it that seriously, why should I kind of delay my holiday and get down to our initial hotel really late in the wee small hours of the morning when I can get headed down early, go get some nice tacos from my favourite taco truck in Bellingham and just casually make my way down. So I didn't go along to that Juarez game, Zach. I know you were there. But the second game on Friday, the 7th, Whitecaps 1, Juarez 3. This is the bottom side in Liga MX coming to BC Place against one of the top sides in MLS, coming away with a 3-1 win. And the Whitecaps took the lead in this one. Jeevan Badwal opened the score in 12 minutes in, but then Juarez tied it up in the 34th minute from Edson Ion. 74th minute, they went ahead. Oscar Estupinan. And then a stunning goal 6 minutes in a second half stoppage time from Ricardinho, lobbing Isaac Boehmer, who was well off his line. And you saw what it meant to Juarez. It was a big win for them. They're taking the competition seriously. They wanted the victory. They got the victory. And it was hard not to feel kind of happy for them because you saw what it meant to them. But again, it was a game where the Whitecaps dominated. 62.4% possession, 27 shots to 6, 9 shots on target for the Whitecaps, just 4 on target for Juarez, 3 of them ending up in the back of the net. And you could see that the crowd went really into it. Just over 13,000 was the official attendance. I know from some of the people there, they felt that there was less than that actually bums in seats. Some highlights to take from the game. Jeevan Badwal scored his 3rd goal of the season across all competitions, his 5th goal contribution, and he is the only Whitecaps player that scored in the Champions Cup, the MLS regular season, and the Leagues Cup. So he's got that achievement. Eddie Campo got the assist on Jeevan's goal, and that was an assist that saw him tie the team lead with Sebastian Berhalter with his 7th assist of the season across all competitions. He's got 1 goal to his name as well. And it was great to see 18-year-old Whitecaps Academy product, Johnny Selemani, making his first career start with the first team, a WFC2 short-term agreement, played 3/4 of the game, did very well in it as well. I really liked what I saw from Johnny Selemani with the Twos last year. Suffered a foot injury in pre-season that kind of derailed his season a little bit. It's just come back from injury. I've liked what I've seen from him. We'd be totally fine with seeing a bit more from him if he ends up getting a homegrown deal. The problem that we've had, though, with some of these WFC2 players is we call them up, they do well, we sign them, and they're not quite hitting the heights in MLS. And it's something that we'll come to later in this part, which we're going to get some comments from listeners just about their thoughts and concerns now on the Whitecaps after the return from this World Cup break. So I don't know if Selemani will secure himself a deal just now. I think he is one that they'll watch how he does now going back to MLS Next Pro with the Twos, have a look at him pre-season. Maybe he gets that deal for the sprint season next year. But that set things up for the final match on Tuesday night down in Mexico, and it was Tigres 1, Whitecaps 1, the Tigres winning 5-4 on penalties in the 7th round of the shootout. Just over 17,000 in attendance for this one down in Mexico. Rodrigo Aguirre giving Tigres the lead in the 19th minute. Again, it was a game where the Whitecaps dominated possession, 54%. They outshot Tigres 12-11. Only 3 shots on target, though. The only one that ended up in the back of the net. A brilliant finish from Emmanuel Sabi in the 80th minute. Finishing from a very tight angle, and great to see Sabi back scoring for the Caps on his return from injury. I guess the big talking points, aside from the penalty misses later on, was the 2 sending offs for Tigres late in the game. Diego Lainez getting sent off in the 88th minute after saying something to World Cup referee Ivan Barton. He of the famous "Red card to Paraguay" and the rave track that we played a couple of shows ago. Straight red card for him, whatever it was he said to Barton. And then 2 minutes into stoppage time, complete insanity from Tigres goalkeeper Guzman, pushing the referee out of the way so he could get on with a free kick, and another straight red card for him. Insanity to end this one, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, the first one kind of just dissent, like, I don't know what he said to the ref or whatever. I thought was a little bit surprising.
Well, it looks like he was going to give him a yellow, and then he says something else, and he's like, straight red.
Yeah.
He goes to his top pocket, he's still mouthing away, and he's like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, in some sense, it's sad he didn't get to go to VAR to, like, give us another VAR.
Another iconic moment that could get put to music.
But no, I mean,
Final decision!
The Guzman,
red card!
The Guzman one.
Oh.
It's crazy. Like, well, I was picking up Liz from camp, so I couldn't watch the game live. So I watched parts of it after. And even though I knew there had been 2 red cards, I didn't even look at the names or who. I just knew there had been 2 red cards. So I was like watching, and then I was like, oh, something's happening here. Like, I knew they were at the end of the game. And I was like, something's happening here. And I was like, the keeper's running up. Is there a fight? Like, what's going on? I was like,
yeah.
And I was like, oh, he's going to take the free kick. And then the only thing that makes sense to me is that he thinks that the ref is maybe either one of his own players or a Whitecaps player, and he's kind of just pushing him out of the way. Because otherwise, nothing else makes sense. Like, you don't touch a referee, let alone touch a referee who sent off your guy for like looking at him funny and yelling at him, right? Like, if you lay hands on that ref, he's going to send you off. So I haven't heard anything, out of the Mexican media or whatever, but I assume it was just like he thought it was his own teammate. And he just or a Whitecap, and he just pushed him out of the way so he could take the free kick. And it was kind of like mistaken identity that's not going to get overturned. But it was nuts. It was surreal. It was crazy.
From a Whitecaps point of view with this Tigres game, it was a good performance, attacking. They got into the box a lot. They at least finally got a goal and some interesting decisions.
Wonderful goal.
A wonderful goal from Sabi, like great finish. Sheikh Sabali at right back.
They discovered a new. He's a new Ralph Friso.
Well, yeah, and Jesper said afterwards, I think he could have a future at this position. Because as I've said on this show, I don't think he has a future as a winger in MLS. It's like they've signed him now for a few years. It's like, oh, we've got to find something to do with this guy. Let's throw him at right back. We only have 7 full backs. Let's try and get an 8th.
Yeah, no, it was awkward.
He didn't do badly. There was a couple of wobbles in the first half. I've got to say, I watched the first half in full. I'd planned to watch the second half. I'd planned to take the dog out at halftime, and then you called me to try and get some photographs, which we'll come to in the next part.
I was going to say, that sounds awkward.
Caitlin was happy. She won't charge you her OnlyFans rate. It's okay.
Michael, please don't joke like that. That's not funny.
But so that delayed me getting the dog out, and I thought, I'll watch the start of the second half and then get the dog on the beach before the light goes. But then my Apple TV crapped out with the internet, and I was like, that's a sign that they don't want me to watch any more of this. I'll just watch that second half highlights later, which I'm glad about because it was going to have been a long night afterwards. Not a wonderful penalty shootout for the Whitecaps. Entertaining. Bulmer with some good saves, which I think he needed.
It was a frustrating shooter. Yeah, kudos to Bulmer. I thought he did great, even on the ones he didn't save. Most of them, if not all of them, I think he went the right way. Or most of them he went the right way, which is huge. Those first 2 were like identical kicks that were like, I think, unsavable. Like he goes the right way, and the spot that they're in, they feel unsavable there. It was one of those shootouts where I thought, oh yeah, okay, they've let themselves down, they've lost this, and then it turns around, and I'm like, there's no way they're going to lose this. Mm-hmm. And LeBlore steps up. I was like, oh, I've seen this before, no problem. Then it goes away. The chance goes. It's not the greatest kick. It's stopped, and then the next opportunity comes up, and you're just like, oh my goodness, they got this for sure. Okay, who's the next person?
Priso.
Yeah, Ralph. I was like, oh, sweet. Ralph's going to be match winner. I was like, okay, again, they got this. I'm confident. No problem. Left footer, great. It goes again. And after that, I was just like, okay, they're going to lose now.
Well, when it came to Ryan, I was like, I know where this is going because Ryan just seems snake bitten right now.
Well, to me, it wasn't even like Ryan. It was more. I mean, and I know there's lots of. I don't know what the right term is. Piling on, too harsh of the term online for Ryan right now. But no, to me, it wasn't Ryan. It was more the moment. It was more the buildup of the shootout and how it played out. That I was just like, this is not going in. Like the keeper is going to save. I don't know. I felt it. Like I said, I thought, it was like a just back and forth. I thought, oh yeah, Tigres has this, no problem. And I was like, Bulmer's got them back in it. There's no way the Whitecaps lose this. And then after those 2 misses, I didn't even know Ryan was shooting next. I just like, they're going to lose now. Like they've lost.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Ryan's ball just landed in my house.
No, seriously, was there something flying there? You have your thing.
That was just a prop.
Oh, okay. Like, oh my God.
Wasted on the audio audience.
Oh, sorry. That was only for me. Okay.
That was just for you.
Did Caitlin throw that at you?
No, she's fast asleep hours ago.
Okay.
We're recording this. it's after midnight. We're now into Thursday. It's going to come out Thursday night. We'll record some stuff as well for any news that breaks maybe on Thursday. But yeah, I mean, how do you look at the Whitecaps' performances over these three matches? I mean, I said at the start of this part, the question was how serious would they take it? And I think you kind of saw from the lineup in the first game that, okay, it's more going to be for fringe players. They're not really caring about this competition. If they get into the knockout stages, they might take it a bit more seriously. But at this point, it's just about getting guys minutes. And after the loss in the first game, it was like, yeah, let's just try and get some chemistry going, work on a few things. But unfortunately, they're on a 7-game winless streak. They're struggling to score. Defensively, they look poor. And the fringe guys that got minutes didn't really all cover themselves in glory.
Okay, for me, I've talked to you about this before, but for me, there's kind of three things to this tournament. One, the previous times when the Whitecaps were in this tournament, it felt like a massive distraction to me. Like it felt like just like unneeded fixture congestion, just brutal. A made up competition that's really, about MLS trying to fill some stadiums, with the Mexican crowds.
Yeah.
And prove themselves. I know there is an element of gaining competitive matches against Mexican teams that should theoretically help, in the more meaningful games in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. But anyways, it always just felt like useless when the Whitecaps played in this competition before. Like I had no time for it. And I know they haven't played in every iteration, but I really felt going into this, Michael, that like in the last year and a half, but even more than that, but especially the last year and a half, I think the Whitecaps' approach to every competition they're in is we are going to win this. Mm-hmm. And I think even with Leagues Cup, I think they came in with that ambition. I think there was literally that ambition. Now, the second thing for me is, and we talked about this before, like, I don't know, in the preseason or the off season or the early season. And I can't remember if this was an actual interview or just something you heard or whatever, but I'm pretty sure that Axel's even said we chose to enter this competition because our players wanted in.
Yeah, he said that to us.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I knew it was somewhere in some time, but it was months ago. But he said our players want in this because they receive bonuses for whatever matches played, and obviously, if they win, they get a significant bonus. So to show our players that we value them, we chose to take the opportunity to be in this competition, even though they don't necessarily have to, or they could have tried to opt out or whatever, because not every MLS team is in it. So it was a sign, to me, it was a sign of ambition. It was a sign of valuing their players. And the third thing, which is maybe the most important in terms of how things have actually played out, is it allowed them to use their squad to get meaningful minutes in, even if I don't like the competition necessarily, competitive matches. Like good competitive matches, good competition. These are not friendlies. These are not, preseason, although some would argue after the World Cup it maybe felt a little that way.
If they keep this going from next year, it is basically for both leagues. It's going to be like a pre-season tournament,
which might be fitting, actually.
Which I don't mind, because then it doesn't. It's not pointless.
Well, exactly. It might have a more significant purpose then in some ways. Plus, the other thing I didn't mention, obviously, is if you top three, qualify for the Champions Cup as well, which is also on the line. But so for this last category of getting players minutes, I think that the Whitecaps have done relatively well. Or let me go back to results. Well,
they've got guys minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, which is important. We'll talk about how they perform in a minute, but that's important. When it comes back to, obviously, they're not going to win the competition. Obviously, they go out, they don't even get a win. It's kind of frustrating, especially because the build-up to it as well has been winless or whatever. I mean, it creates this streak. That's not helpful, not great. But the actual performances, Michael, I think when you look at the performances, the performances were not as bad as the scores indicate.
No, they dominated each game. They just couldn't score.
Especially the home games. I was sitting in the post game with Jesper after the Juarez game, and people, and our colleagues were, what are you going to do? How are you going to fix the attack, or how are you going to, how are you going to get your players to be more clinical? And Jesper's like, I think we had 27 shots today. I think like we're creating the chances, some clear-cut chances we absolutely should have scored. I'm not that worried about this. And I don't think he's being cavalier. I don't think he's being nonchalant. I think he's like, look, things just didn't really bounce for us on this day and ultimately in this tournament. So as frustrating as not winning is for this era of the Whitecaps, I still think the performances are good. And it's not an apples to apples comparison. And I've said this at other times in the season, or I think I even said this maybe at the beginning of this run in the post World Cup kind of season. It reminds me a lot of Vancouver FC at the beginning of the CPL season, where they were clearly the better side. They weren't getting the goals they needed, and they weren't getting the wins they needed. They were sometimes only getting draws and taking losses that they shouldn't have, but they were like objectively the better team, and not just like in their fans' eyes, in everyone's eyes watching the game. Even opposing coaches were talking about it. So I think in that sense, Jesper's not like worried or like overly concerned. Yes, the finishing has to come. They have to continue to create these chances, but performance-wise, considering they didn't win, I don't think they're like pressing any panic buttons or ultra frustrated or anything like that. But the real important thing I think was they got players into these games that really needed it. So Sam Adekubi gets time, desperately needs time, desperately needs to be able to find form to get back to full fitness. Who else was it?
Sabi.
Ralph came back.
Sabi and Ralph.
They both came back. They both got limited minutes, but they were able to kind of come back. Both of them made impacts, I think, in how they played. Really, really encouraging. Who else? There's other players that came back, right? That had limited roles. Those are the big three, right?
They were the big three. We saw like Ngando got some time because we haven't really seen JC on the pitch too much. Gerasimenkov's back after his injury as well. Got the assist on Sabi's goal.
Yes.
The decision was made by Jesper not to take down like Kubis and Mueller for this game.
Which is the right decision. Absolutely the right decision.
I also wouldn't have taken Yohei down, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just because of the whole food poisoning thing. Yeah, because they had Zendeas on the bench. So I was surprised they took Yohei down.
That's another player. Isaac Boehmer. I know some people have not been the highest on him lately. I thought he's performed actually quite well. Like, I know maybe the shootout's clouding my mind a little bit, but I thought he made some massive saves.
Yeah, there's some wobbles from him as well. And like, if you were to say to me, would you be comfortable if Yohei got injured, heaven forbid, and Isaac stepped in now as your main keeper? Would you feel confident in that? I'd feel fairly confident, but I would definitely have some concerns. But it's that old story of a number of players in certain positions, and goalkeeper is a huge one.
Yeah.
They have to be playing regularly to get the rhythm and to get the chemistry with their backline. So the more that Isaac would be playing, the more comfortable I think you would be with him in goal.
Which, I mean, the thing with the last time you and I saw him before this competition was that WFC2 game against, I want to say Dallas, and or whoever it was against, but he did not look good.
No, he struggled.
But coming into this, I thought, okay, yeah, so I think there's a benefit there for the Whitecaps as this season develops that I think he's in a better spot than he was a month ago. So there's goodness in that. And then, the young player. So what's his name? Selemani. I thought he was great against Juarez. I thought so many encouraging signs. There's that one moment in the second half where he beats a man or two, and he goes by a man or two, and you can tell he's just like the adrenaline's rushing because he's beating two players, and he lines up that shot with his left foot, and he blazes it over the bar, and there was a kind of like that, but it was like, man, the way he got by those two players, it was like, okay, yeah, like that's
he's
a
what
talent.
you want to see. What I was hoping for, like, Johnny and Ryan are best buds. They came through the BTB Academy in Edmonton together. They moved out west together. I was hoping that with having Johnny on the pitch and having that chemistry, it might unlock Illumi a little bit, and it just didn't work for Ryan. And his confidence with going away at the World Cup, not seeing time on the pitch, getting the chances here. Yeah, he scored in the Can Champ at Swangard against Cavalry, but aside from that, things have just not been coming off for him. He's a confident guy, but he spoke when I spoke to him after coming back from the World Cup. He spoke about getting that first goal this year had been starting to play on his mind a little bit, and you kind of hope, he's got that now. He's going to push on, and it hasn't happened. And with Brian White being out, that is your concern because he's your go-to number 2.
Yeah.
And that is a lot to put on an 18, 19-year-old.
And that the Brian White injury is probably the worst part of this whole tournament, I think. Yeah. For me, it's the low point where you lose him for a few weeks. The
latest on Brian is it's hamstring tightness, and he's going to be missing 1 to 2 weeks from the injury. Now, that could see him back against Seattle on Sunday. I don't know that he will. I think we've got a chance to see him midweek. We'll definitely see him against one of the 2 Texan teams in the next couple of games.
Looking on the bright side, for Brian White, because when he came off, I was like, hamstring tightness is better than hearing groin, right?
Yes, but he had 4 hamstring-related times away last year. 2 injuries, 2 strains, or 2 tightness.
When was I thought he had major groin issues. Was that the season before?
It might have been before. I don't remember that. But it was last year. It was all hamstring.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So no, that for me was the concerning thing.
That's not good. Yeah.
When it's here we go again. But I actually, let's. We talked earlier. We put out on the socials today what's on your mind, Caps fans. So we'll get into some of that just now, because a lot of it does touch on the striking situation. I want to start off with Dental Damnation. Simply said he's worried, and I think that echoes a lot of the comments that we've had. So TJR says, how concerned are we going into this second half of the season? He's currently at a 4, which I think out of 10, but he says that could grow quickly. Are you genuinely worried just now?
No. I understand the worry. I understand the concern, and I would never say it's illegitimate. I just think that they're going to be able to, going back into MLS play and not having to worry about any more Leagues Cup. I think they're really going to be able to refocus. And
there's additions, which we'll touch on in the next part.
Yeah, there's that for sure. But no, I think they're going to be able to refocus, and I think they're going to be able to find their form. And I think you're going to see the Whitecaps. It might not be as pretty as some of stuff from earlier this year or last year, but I think you're going to see them dig deep and pull out some key wins, starting with the match we'll talk about later on in the episode, away to Seattle.
That's a big one. I think I'm with TJR in that. I think I'm at 4 or 5 out of 10 in the worried stakes. It could escalate quickly if the White injury turns out to be more than just 1 to 2 weeks, and we don't have a recognised striker, because one of the guys that we have brought in, Poku, is now week to week with his own hamstring injury.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. Yeah, it would have been ideal for him to play in this competition, and then you would have avoided the Brian White injury. Can I do the next one?
Yeah.
Let's do at Oz Sweeney 4, friend of the show, longtime engager with all your online posts. He says, wondering why the team has come back from the break like it's preseason. Passing and movement is so slow. Too many mistakes at the back that seemingly all get punished. 7-game losing streak is way too long. When is the Ted Lasso bad juju bonfire to get the season back on track?
Depending on how Sunday goes, that bonfire could be at training next week. I will bring it. I will bring along all the necessary incendiary devices, firewood. I'll get some driftwood from the beaches here. I mean, it does feel like it's pre-season form, But the problem is, the last 2 years, we've come in from pre-season on fire.
Yeah.
Whereas this is, as we've talked about, it feels like it's an Apertura Clausura MLS season.
It does. Yeah.
But for whatever reason, things just are not clicking. Defensively, they're not looking as solid, but part of it is they're pushing so hard to then, because they're falling behind, which they weren't doing before. And that's leaving them short at the back. And our keepers are looking susceptible for getting lobbed because they're pushing forward so much.
Wow, literally against the Warriors, yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. But that was also, I think, a bad pass. But I think to speak to his comment about the passing and movement is so slow, I think in those 3 games at BC Place, I think that's part of the adjusting to this long grass that hopefully, or long turf, sorry, that hopefully, ACDC and the other friends who are going to come in will stomp it down or whatever.
Yeah, we need the mosh pit to do its job with these ACDC concerts.
Yeah.
And then the Foo Fighters after that.
Yep.
Where's the monster trucks when you need them? Greg Petrie says, I don't think the team is clicking the way it did last year or even earlier this year, and that's fair. I think a number of veterans have taken a predictable step back. I think Berhalter is going to be the MVP of the season. He was certainly my MVP up to the halfway point, as we talked about, as proven by how the second half unfolds. Yeah, like Laborda, Blackman haven't looked as good since the restart defensively as they did before. Brian White hasn't been clicking. So hopefully it's just a little blip and they will get back to those forms. It's a long season. It's been a long couple of years for these guys with a lot of competition and very little time off. So I think it is natural. If we're still winless going into September, I will be very more concerned.
Let's hope that Greg's glass that's half empty gets fuller as the season goes on. Let's do Federico Serrani. In the subreddit, there's a fiery conversation about whether the team should be held to a higher standard given how competitive they've been in the last 18 months, or is being winless in 7 okay given 4 of those games were less important? Wonder what you all think. There's an element of that to it.
Yeah, that's why I'm not as concerned. Like, I love cup competitions. I've spoken about it. I'm excited for the Whitecaps if they're in the Leagues Cup. If they're not, I don't care. But after that first loss with the format, as I touched upon, it was over for me, so I didn't care. So yeah, just use this to try and get something going. If we'd got worse over the 3 games, I would be more concerned. But I think we saw signs of improvement, and we saw signs of some players coming back, as we touched upon, and the young guys starting to get a little bit more confident as well. And I think Larraz has shown that he can be a starter. We talked about it in the last show. He's not a Berhalter replacement. We need better than Oli Larraz.
Yeah.
I think he's done well in these games.
Yeah, there was moments in that Tigers game where I told you, I was like, oh man, I don't think, yeah, I thought he was kind of going on this upward trajectory, and then
he did dip in this. Yeah,
Tigers game was definitely a no.
Well, getting a suicidal ball out from Bomer that nearly led to a turnover and a goal won't have helped his confidence.
No, but yeah, I mean they need him to play a significant role, especially as they bridge the gap to whenever new signings are going to be able to come and help out in that central midfield. And yeah, as happy as I was for Ngando to get time in the Leagues Cup, it either doesn't seem like he's in form, and or it doesn't seem like Jesper either trusts him or wants to use him as much as he did maybe like last year, or as confidently as he did last year.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Van City Bob says, glad this League Cup crap is over. The team looks good, but needs to do better with the finish. And that's what we're going to touch on with a few of these now. With White down, the team needs help at striker. The young kid is not ready for responsibility. And that got me wondering, could we see Sabi lead the line against Seattle?
You could.
Or even Sabali, because he was played in France more as an out-and-out striker.
You could. I also, it's probably a longer shot, But I also wondered, do you put Thomas Muller up there as the focal point of the attack? I don't. That's not where I like to see him play. I don't
With
think that's
Goldie
what he's
behind
best.
him, maybe.
With Goldie behind him. Yeah,
I'd be for that.
yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if if he was chosen. But I don't know. I don't know if that's the best. But same with the Sabi or Sabali. I don't know if that's the best either. Really think you need Sabi as one of the wide players.
Yeah, I think you lose something by having him in the middle because he's got that just electric pace, and we're already down Caicedo and Cabrera in those positions. Thomas looked very frustrated these last two games because he's a winner. Whether it's a crappy competition or whatever we think about it, he wants to win, and he was not happy with things that were happening in these two games.
I don't know if you caught Dorsch's comments at TFC, in his press conference at TFC, and he talked about growing up at Bayern and what it was like. He spent 8 years in the youth academy at Bayern, and he talked about how it gives you this DNA of we have to win everything, we have to win every game. And he said, even though I went to different clubs, that has stuck with me, and that's something I can bring to Toronto FC. And I don't want to compare him to Thomas Muller. But yeah, it's obviously exponentially more a part of who Thomas Muller is.
Yeah. And
he absolutely would be someone who's extremely frustrated by the results from these games, even though the performances weren't, there was bright spots in the performance, or there was encouraging things about the performances. But he'll want to get back to winning ways as quickly as possible. And as we'll talk about later, I think he'll be someone who let's lift this Cascadia Cup away to Seattle.
Yeah, and the Canadian Championship, and then get back on track for the playoffs in the league as well. I mean, Life in Van City says his biggest concern is that Jesper thinks some of the bench can be starters. In addition, he feels Larraz just isn't good enough, and Ngando really is not up to par. I've been rooting for JC, and he's had some flashes, but he is a guy I do feel needs more time and a run to see the best of him. I prefer him to Larraz, I have to say. But Life in Van City says both of them make terrible choices and their passing isn't good enough, and that is true. But again, lack of playing time, being out of the team for so long in Ngando's case, does lead to that. And it's how long do you persevere with that if the passes aren't going right? I mean, I don't think for me either of them are MLS starters. We've got guys coming in that are going to be better than them. But just to touch on the next one as well, Top of the Box FC, based on what we've seen recently with the kids getting more minutes, is the future bright enough to keep contending past this season? I don't think our depth is good enough to keep us at the top. I think we need new guys coming in, and we are now starting to see new guys coming in this year, and we'll see more next year. And I do think a chunk of the squad will move on at the end of the year.
It'll be interesting to see how the players who come in this season, how big of an impact that they can make, or kind of what their level is. I think, going forward, that sprint season's everyone's got to have big eyes for that sprint season.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about next year. It's like
it's all Western teams, travels minimal.
Yeah,
we can get to a lot of away games as well, which I'm hoping to try and get to as many as possible next year.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a very, very interesting season.
That's a great chance for a club like the Whitecaps to start strong, continue, and lift an MLS Cup.
But I will say, in terms of the comment about Jesper seeing too many of the bench players as starters, I would say two things. One is it was about using this competition to get them actual competitive minutes, and two,
and evaluate them.
Yeah, exactly. Because how can you know if they're good enough if you haven't seen them enough in these kind of opportunities? But it also had to do with kind of how he was rotating a little bit as well, right? Like you needed to rotate a little bit, and so it wasn't like any of the matches. It was like, well, I mean, the last one I guess closest, but it wasn't like it was like all young kids all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the first game against Atlanta, it was 7 changes from the LAFC game. And it's then hard as well for guys to come in when it's a lot of changes like that as well.
That's fair.
You can read the next couple here.
Yeah. Eden Stanky, friend of the show, big St. Pauli fan. Big Jackson Irvin fan. Tough format, but I would really have loved to do well in it. Would absolutely love to play in a quarterfinal and a semifinal at home and possibly a final. Really would have loved to win this tournament, but you lose once and don't finish your chances, and it's all over so quickly. Bang, spot on from Aiden. And then David Fisher said, realistically, what are the goals for the team now? Top of the West Supporter Shield, playoff showing?
I think the Supporter Shield is gone. And I know that's like we're only 3 points off first place. I think the West is going to be so competitive that it's going to be really tough to go on a big run, whereas I think the teams in the East are going to clock up points a bit better. So it's not that I don't think we'll be top of the West. I think we can very realistically be top of the West. I just don't think we'll get the points total that we need for the Supporters' Shield. I hope I'm wrong, but the West is just going to be carnage, I think, for the next couple of weeks and months.
Yeah, for so many of the fans and players in the squad, you kind of just hope that the Shield doesn't dissipate so quickly. You hope they're kind of in the Shield to the end, kind of like they were so close last year. I agree with you though that I think the minimum target needs to be the top of the West.
Yeah.
You want all those games at home. You saw the advantage of it last year, and then you hope that whoever you play in the final is in a higher seed than you.
Well, yeah,
than you, and you get the final at home. I think those are all massive things. I think playoff showing. I think it's kind of like I don't think anyone will be. It's almost like if they don't, because of how good last year went, like even a final appearance or a final appearance at home, I don't think will be good enough for people, but.
I've seen some fans say, "Oh, should we be questioning a change in the coach?" And it's like, you must be quite new to watching the Whitecaps and have not gone through the previous years.
Yeah.
If because of this run and some results in the Leagues Cup, you're like, "Yeah, I think we maybe should be looking for a new coach."
No, you kept those ones out of here, right?
Yeah. Oh, that wasn't replies to us.
Oh, okay.
That was just other things I've seen, like on Facebook and on socials and things like that. Derek Cockram says, whose stock has gone up or down since we returned from the World Cup? And we've touched on a little bit of this. He says, for him, Gauld has been outstanding and he is starting to get his groove again. Selemani was impressive in his debut. Larraz has also settled in, but is still prone to a poor first touch. That's one of my big complaints about him. His first touch is not great. I mentioned that in the last show as well. Then there's Ngando, Illumi, Bomer, even Tate and Sam look off. Now for Sam, he's still getting up to speed. Tate has not looked great since the return from the World Cup, I have got to say.
Yeah. In terms of stock on up from the World Cup, he missed the most important one. Berhalter would be the top. Top of the list.
He's doing well with Middlesbrough already.
Yeah.
An assist on his debut in the Championship.
Yeah. No, in all seriousness, no, I think those are fair assessments. I think it's harsh on Bomer, but yeah, I think otherwise his list is okay. The other one, you please help me with the pronunciation because I always screw this up. The other person who I put on the down list, number 41.
Oh, Nikola Djordjevic.
Djordjevic, yeah. I always butcher his last name whenever I see it and say it to you. I
don't think he's MLS quality.
Yeah, I feel bad for the kid because it's not like there's like a lack of work rate or lack of effort. If you feel like like you said, the level. This is not his level, or maybe not his level at this time in his development.
Well, it was baffling for me. He's a right back, so he played on the left wing against Tigres, and Sabali is right back.
Yeah, when you messaged me about that, I was like, "Oh, that's a joke." And then I saw the thing, and I was like, "This doesn't add up."
Well, it's funny because I'd seen the lineup on the MLS website. And it had Djordjevic at right back and Sabali in the wing. I was like, oh, okay. And then I saw the Whitecaps graphic and I was like, are they just trying to throw Tigrasov
Yeah.
with that graphic, or is that really what's happening? And then I'm watching the game. I was like, oh no, that's really what's happening.
When you text me that, no, he's actually right back, I was just like, what is going on?
The next one that I've got here will save for the next part actually, because
Okay.
that will tie in with what that. So you can do Mitch.
Mitch J. Williams feels we need a new secondary striker. It's not a bad shout, as does Stuck on the Sofa, who is also worried about center back position. Valid as well.
Yeah.
Crazy London.
Cassie London.
Oh, sorry. Cassie London is worried about the lack of scoring. For those who are not watching this, my glasses have broken.
Oh yes, we should have
Yes.
mentioned that at the start as well. Because I was like, are you really tired, or are you needing glasses because you're squinting as we were looking into the camera? The next couple are kind of all in a similar theme, so you can read the next couple as well.
Okay, so Max,
Just put your reading to the test now with no glasses.
I should grab my broken glasses. Max Mussolini, as already mentioned in the replies, I am very concerned that there's absolutely no viable alternative to Brian White at the striker position. Besides Poku signing, I'm wondering if the club feels like they need to address this issue in the current transfer window.
It's tough because if you bring someone in now, it's like you've signed Poku to be that guy, and now he's week to week.
Yeah,
If you bring somebody else in, someone's not getting minutes here.
yeah. I can't see them doing more business than that unless
I can't either. And I think they're more likely to look at what we've just discussed, like Sabi or Mueller or someone like that, playing up front and keeping everything crossed that Brian is healthy for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Molly Faraday says, having a bit of Canadian men's national team PTSD with injuries on the back line and trouble finishing in the final third. That's understandable. Very, very understandable. Vancouver Insider, seriously worried about the striker position. We don't know how long White is out for. We now know probably
it's 1 to 2 weeks.
Alumi's confidence is at an all-time low. That's, again, fair perspective. And we don't know anything about Poku.
Well, he is week to week, and we know from previous week to weeks, those weeks turn into months to months.
Don't say that,
hopefully
Michael.
it's not the case.
Vancouver Insider goes on to say, I hope the goal will help Sabi get back to his best, and I really hope we sign Soleimani to a first-team deal. Do you think that's an option between them?
I don't right now, unless Poku looks like it could be long-term, and they think, let's just add this in. I kind of touched it a bit earlier. We've signed a lot of these guys, and like Djordjevic is another example, that maybe aren't MLS ready. And I don't think we can have too many of them on the roster at one time. I fully can see Soleimani maybe getting the deal for the sprint season onwards once we've got rid of some of these others that's on the roster.
Yeah,
You've also got to remember we've got the likes of like Nelson Pierre that's out on loan and stuff as well.
Yeah, because traditionally they like to bring through one or two players, right?
Yeah.
Over the course of a season.
Some work, like Ali Ahmed.
Yeah.
Some aren't quite ready. Like I think Mihail Gerasimenkov's another good example of a guy that's been brought on and can do it at this level.
Yeah.
But I think it's Ilumi's maybe been thrown in too soon. Then he got off to that great start last year, and everyone expects wonders from him. Soleimani's had a great debut, and I think everyone's now expecting wonders from him. And it is a lot of pressure to expect these 18 and 19-year-olds to step up and be MLS ready at this point.
Yeah. Nulb's Caps fan. Honestly, I'd rather the Caps loan Alumi to a CPL side. His confidence seems shot the last 5 to 6 games, and him missing the penalty is just adding more woe to him. You can't do that because of what's going on with White and Poku. Even if you wanted to, logistically.
Well,
can you?
You could, because it got me thinking of a little swap loan deal.
Oh.
Tobias Warshevsky. Ilumi goes back to Alberta, sees out the season with Cavs, a good team, gets some confidence going. We get Toby in with maybe a view loan to purchase.
Wow. That would be...
I'm a big fan of Warshevsky because I like a big striker.
Toby is in my mind, still the one for VFC that got away. I mean, they got all the balls and bags and all this equipment from Edmonton. They really should have taken Toby.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
You'd be getting the Lumi valuable minutes. You'd be having a look at Warshevsky. Is he MLS ready?
Yeah. You mentioned that to me before. Yeah. You got to imagine would be some reluctance on Tommy's part, right? Where you're battling for the league. Right? I mean, especially this weekend they're playing Forge.
I can't see the Cavs ever agreeing to it, and I also not really sure that Axel would want to do that either.
No, but it's creative. I like it. Uli Becker, how can they adjust playing against a deep block? So this is something Uli, I think, might have been the one who asked Jesper this, and Jesper's response was, look, we're creating the chances. We just need to finish them. How can they translate possession into goals? Again, similar. Why don't Gold and Muller try distance shots more frequently? This is valid. I think this is a really important perspective. I don't know if we talked about it on the show or where, but I know. I think I've mentioned this to you. I mentioned this to a lot of people during the World Cup. This is what happened a lot during the World Cup, is you saw a lot of low blocks, and even from quality teams, you saw them. One of the ways they overcame the low block was scoring through shots from distance, number one, and number two, scoring from rebounds from shots from distance, right? Like, that's how Spain beat Belgium. Okay. Belgium was playing deep. They're like, okay, we're going to have a few goes. Oh, okay. Rebounds come to us. We score. They got both their goals that way. There's a couple other moments that's kind of like how it.
Well, you look at some of the minnows as well, like Haiti's goals, Curacao, Cape Verde. It's like shots from distance.
Yeah. So that's a legitimate one, and
yeah, it is.
The Whitecaps have some players who can do that. I think you said this to me, actually. I don't know if it was on the show or just you and I talking. Like, let's encourage Ryan Gold to shoot more from distance. He has it in him. Thomas Muller's not someone who I see shooting from. Like, I remember when he scored that goal against Orlando last year. I was like, oh, that's outside the box. And I was like, way to go, Thomas. But even he can from.
He had one. I don't know if it was against LA or if it was against Atlante that just whizzed over the bar. Yes. It was a beautiful one from the edge of the box.
So that's something I wonder if they're discussing that. Why do the wingers always go inside?
Yep.
Again, that's something maybe Axel.
So that last year as well, it drives you nuts sometimes.
But I mean, it has borne quite a bit of fruit for them. But yeah, maybe adjusting that could help. Will there be a bit less rotation so players can gel? I think we'll see this now that the Leagues Cup is over. I think it'll be virtually every match will be the best players available.
Yeah,
maybe like an individual, like a 1 or 2 players a game might get rotated, like just to keep players fresh or. Load management or multiple games in a week or whatever. But I think that's how that'll get solved.
Yeah, going back to the shots from distance, I can't remember the exact stat because I had the first half. It was on, and I was kind of doing stuff, listening to it. And the commentators talked about how the Whitecaps led and had the records for the most touches in the opposition box.
Oh,
and it's like, that's great. But if you've no output from all those touches, it counts for nothing. It was like over 100 touches in the opposition box.
Sorry, was that this season?
Yeah, I don't know if it was an MLS or if it was the Leagues Cup alone or whatever, but it was like their touches in the box are huge because they're putting pressure on defences and they win the ball back and they're going into the box and they need to. But then they've got so many defenders in front of them, or they're pissing about too much with it and trying to just knock it about as opposed to getting shots off. It is getting frustrating that you're having all those touches in the box, you're having all that possession, you're having all the shots, and you're just not troubling the goalkeepers enough.
Yeah, and that's where the whole shooting from distance thing can really open things up for you, because teams will have to adjust for that, and that should create more space for you to have those good touches in the box to create good chances. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, you can do the next one.
Okay, the juice truck. Is Liam McKenzie ready for the big club? I feel like Stefan Eustáquio is the perfect fit for this club. Can it happen?
Not now.
No, I think only Eustáquio. Has he landed somewhere?
He's still in advanced talks with Olympiacos. Is the
Right.
latest that I heard.
But he lifted like a preseason cup with
Yeah,
Portugal.
it was but he's been on the bench and stuff as well.
The
Liam McKenzie definitely can come in and make a difference in this team. We saw he's just had a great tournament with Canada under 20s, ridiculously sent off in the semi-final against Mexico. Sent off for dribbling past an opponent.
Well, he touched near the guy's face. But have you and I talked about this on the podcast?
No.
I mean,
CONCACAF.
yeah. I mean, Canada was robbed in that game, like absolutely robbed.
The States were robbed in the final to an extent. I know you don't care about that, but
no, but I mean,
got to look at it as well.
Again, are you surprised when you saw how the semi played out? I mean, we were all watching the game in the press box during the Juarez game. So it was like and then some people's feeds was ahead of others, so they'd be like, "Oh, goal!" and they'd be like, "Why?" Like, what's going on or whatever. But it was really interesting because everyone was like enthralled by both matches. No, that for me, the turning point in that game is when Canada is not awarded the penalty, when the Mexican player is clearly has the tug on his jersey. And I heard some people say, "Oh, but was the ball playable? Could he have gotten there?" To me, it doesn't matter. When you're pulling your opponent's jersey in the box, it's a foul and it's a penalty. And I disagree with that call. I think that should have been a penalty.
See, that drives me nuts when folks say, "Well," or it's like, "Oh, he didn't mean that tackle."
No,
it's like, "Oh, he didn't mean to murder that guy. Let's not send him to prison."
It was, to me, it was an absolute penalty for Canada. If they would have been successful, they would have been 2-0 up at the time.
Yeah. But also, the other moment that pissed me off was when the guy that scored the first goal, whose name's completely escaped me just now.
Graham Roach?
Yeah, was so confident. He went for a shot where there was a wide open man to his left.
Yeah.
And it's hard to fault a striker for doing that.
No, but he was too confident from scoring the goal.
Yeah.
And he was not aware enough.
Yeah.
And like Guzman for Tigres, he was just not aware of things around him.
Yes.
And he absolutely should not have taken that shot. Yeah, when that happened again in the press box, we were all like, "What is he doing?" Because again, that was another clear moment. I can't remember the score at that time, but that was
it was 1-0 at that time, so that would have made it 2-0 just before the half.
It was definitely first half, yeah. So I mean, Canada, one moment they were robbed, another potential chance to have a clear cut opportunity, they robbed themselves from it. But I think Canada up 2-0. I think they would have been able to see the match out. There's got to be some frustration for Jesse Marsh and all this. I think, the McKenzie sending off, it was awkward, right? Because McKenzie got subbed into the game really, really, really early, right? They rested him because the game was 2 days, the quarterfinal was 2 days before, and he kind of went all out in that game. So he didn't even start the game, and I can't remember, was it subbed in early or he got put in the starting lineup because of no, it was subbed in early. When he got the first yellow card, I was like, oh, they got to be careful with him. Because of the type of game it was, because of the opponent, because of the location of the game, everything. You're just like, you're not going to have to do too much to see Mexico given an advantage here. As terrible as that is to say, it's not because it was Canada. Again, you saw it with the States. Again, I'm not saying it was like bad coaching to not sub him off, but yeah, you wonder if that moment was avoidable, I guess.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's shocking that he's given that card especially because VAR was available.
Yeah.
But to me,
is VAR available for that because it was a second yellow?
That's an important question. But to me, it's a unintentional hands to the face, minimal contact, severe embellishment. It's not a yellow card. It's definitely not a second yellow card. And Canada, just gets screwed so bad. Get CONCACAF so bad.
We also have to mention the taunting from the Mexican player after it, which I thought was disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, if Liam had got up and punched him in the face, I'd have been like, yeah, he deserves that.
And obviously, had Canada been able to hold on to that, they then would have number one, qualified for the Olympics. Number two, as you said to me, I believe it was you who said during the final, Canada would have won this final. Like Canada would have won the tournament. And that would have been just huge for the program, huge for that group of players, huge for Jesse Marsh and what he's trying to do. Not that qualifying for the Under-20 World Cup isn't massively significant.
No, but we'd also have been at the Pan Am Games, which is a whole different test and stuff as well.
Aren't we at the Pan? Did we get that as well?
I thought it was only the two. I thought it was just going to be the US and Mexico.
Oh, I thought I heard somewhere that we also qualified for that, but
I think Benedict Rhodes put that out on socials, but I'm sure he's wrong.
oh, okay, we'll double check that. But anyways, it was incredibly frustrating. All that to say, Mackenzie is a kid who I think in the 2026 season could come in and play a role for the Whitecaps. He could
I
be
do as well.
a bit of a wild card that makes some really big contributions that in some big matches and some big moments, and he's there to, whether it's score, set up, make a big tackle, whatever. Like he win back the ball. That can make a massive difference in how this Whitecap season plays out. And I hope, like some of our commenters here, I hope he'll get the opportunity, because even Cars of My Walk says, what does Mackenzie have to do to get some minutes?
He's performed really well in WFC2. He's probably my WFC2 player of the year, but he wouldn't get that because he's an MLS first team player.
Right.
In my way of doing my voting. But he's been excellent. He's added goals to his game. He's become a leader on the pitch as well. I think he's now shown at this level with the U20s that he's definitely got what it takes. We've mentioned several times on the show that people have said to me he is a player with a higher ceiling than Jeevan Badwal. Mm-hmm. And that once he hits his stride, he is going to be like right up there. I think he can definitely get some time this year with the team, and I hope we see it.
One question is, what is his best position? Because for Canada, I feel like he played all over.
Probably an 8.
As an 8, okay.
Yeah. The last tweet we'll read out. I know this has been a long part, but
this is a very short topic.
Yeah, it's been good to gauge the listeners' feelings, which is why I wanted to make this part as long as it has been. I know it can be a bit boring sometimes just reading the tweets out, which is why we've talked a lot about the points raised as well. But Dustin B and Lee Haber both wanted to know about the news that the provincial government are due to make a decision imminently on BC Place, and whether renewed public pressure to influence the Whitecaps running it will kind of come off. Because you'll all have seen, I'm sure, the supporters group statement to Ravi Callan and David Eby about this, imploring them to make the right decision. So I don't know lots about the latest on this, except that a decision is meant to be taking place this month on the Whitecaps' proposal as to whether they will give the Whitecaps permission to operate BC Place. Not own it and buy it, but to operate and to run it. My understanding is there's a few in government that are not in favour of this, because they don't want to be seen to be giving favouritism to just one of the sports teams in the city. I still have made this very clear, and I think the supporters groups made it clear in their statement as well. I don't want my provincial government running a sports stadium. I want them to concentrate on what is the big issues in the province, and running a sports stadium is not one of them.
And they give good examples of how public stadiums are run in other half a dozen other places.
Yeah. And Seattle's one of them.
Yep.
And I would just add to that, and I say I implore the government to make the right decision. I know Lions fans are up in arms about where the Lions left in all this. Look, if you want both of them to run it together, if they can work that out, fine. The Lions haven't expressed publicly anyway an interest in operating the stadium. The Whitecaps are there way more times over the year than the Lions. The Lions will be taken care of. The new season would make that happen as well, and it's a way for the Whitecaps to just get more revenue, and getting this deal in place then leads to the new ownership coming in. So hopefully the government make the right decision, because if they don't, I think they will be punished for it.
Yeah, it's I a difficult moment. Do you know, Michael, if they say, hey, we're not going to allow the Whitecaps or Lions or anyone else operate it, does that necessarily also close the door to it being sold? That's a totally
No,
separate thing,
but
right?
I still say selling it is absolute pie in the sky.
Right. Okay.
It's like no one's got that money that the government would need to get for the stadium.
Because again, the land alone plus all the development.
Yeah,
is
and they've
crazy.
done so much backtracking on that now. I think Ravi Callan went a little bit rogue and going public with stuff like that. But yeah, I think we will hear something by the end of the month, and hopefully it's positive. And if that's positive, then the ownership thing will also be positive. I'm still confident everything's going ahead, but this is a big moment for this government, and they will be held accountable by Whitecaps fans if they do not get this deal to go through. And that's not a threat, it's just a reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So thanks to everyone. I know there's probably some that I've missed out here, but I think I went through Blue Sky, I went through Twitter and got all these results, tried to put them in an order. Hopefully you felt it's a worthwhile section. We like to empty our sacks every now and again. Both been married for a number of years, that it becomes less and less. But we're going to talk more Whitecaps in the next part as we talk about addressing some of the situations with some transfer talk and general news of the week. And we'll be back with that after this episode's C86 song.
Hi, I'm Emmanuel Sabi, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Strike up matches, watch them burn. Don't sweep the ashes. I'm waiting for my turn. And if you feel you need an explanation, I might just let you down and watch your world fall all around you. I might just let you down. Go ahead and take it. Forget the living, just count the dead. While you're busy thieving, I'll paint your blue flag red. So I'm tired of talking and I'm tired of waiting. I might just let you down.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's our C86 song for this episode, a band from High Wycombe called Episode 4, a very short-lived band. They only released one single, you heard it there, Strike Up Matches. It was a 12-inch single that was released in December 1986, and it's become, some describe it as a holy grail, some describe it as a must-have C86 song, primarily because of the scarceness of it, as many of the singles were destroyed by a burst pipe in their storage facility. So the song kind of grew a little bit of iconic and legendary status as well, and it is a very good track. You can find it on disc 3 of the C86 expanded compact disc edition that was brought out by Cherry Red Records in 2014. And we'll be back with another C86 era song next time around. So let's get back to the football chat now. We're going to continue talking Whitecaps. We're going to look at some of the news of the week, much of which is transfer related. And I want to kick this section off by reading 2 last kind of tweets that we got from our mailbag. The first of them from Baxter, who said, transfer news is great, but when are we actually going to get some help? One signing is already injured. That's Poku. Another is also injured and will be likely loaned out. We'll come to him in this part. And another might be in visa limbo. We'll come to that in this part. And the last of those is probably going to drag out for a while. Not necessarily. So we'll address that here. And Dr. Van Nostren says, I like the prospect of the inbound transfers, but if we're going to win anything other than the Canadian Championship this year, we need help today, not just prospects and projects. The shield is gone, in my opinion, and we need help up top and on the back line, probably in the midfield too. So, let's look at some of these transfer rumours and confirmations from the past week, Zach. So, one signing is announced at the time of recording. 21-year-old Serbian midfielder Aleksa Cvetković transferred in from Serbian Superliga side OFK Beograd. And can I just say now, good luck to everybody that has their Amazon devices set, because when these games are going to be getting announced on TV, you're going to hear the word Alexa a lot, and that could be triggering and set off some of these devices. We could be getting some orders for some Serbian food that we don't know about, or who knows what. But yeah, I've seen people already christen him, and I like this, the Serbian bear halter. Should it be called Serba? But it's an interesting addition that obviously I don't know very much about. He was a regular starter and a standout player for Belgrade over the past 2 seasons. Started 52 of his 73 appearances for them. 7 goals, 9 assists. 5 appearances and 1 goal for the Serbian under-21 team. He was invited to the senior Serbian national team camp in March, so obviously highly thought of player. He's agreed to an under-22 initiative contract through to the end of the 29-30 MLS season with a club option for 30-31, so a long-term signing here. He's a 21-year-old that will officially join the club's roster pending receipt of the international transfer certificate, visa, work permit and medicals. Now, Serbia isn't in the EU, so it does take a whole bit longer for the visa process. The club, though, are confident they can get this done quite quickly. The fee is thought to be around the $1.5 million US mark. I like it. It doesn't feel like a straight Berhalter prospect replacement. He feels more like a guy that we might see what we had in Berhalter in a year to 2 years' time. And he is going to obviously have to find his feet in a new country and a new league. But he feels, in his introductory press release, he said, as soon as he knew of this, he wanted the move to happen. He looked at the Whitecaps, the way that they play, and he feels it fits how he plays perfectly. So we're just going to have to wait and see how he fits in, I think.
Yeah. This is a bit tangential question, Michael, but does this give you more confidence that Ranko's going to get re-signed?
Well, hopefully. I mean, I think that could be a positive sign, get another Serbian there.
Yeah, because I don't think you can fully undervalue how much that helps, right? When you come into a new club and you have someone who knows your culture, speaks your language, can help you settle, can help you integrate, can make you feel a part of everything.
Yeah, and Ranko's quite ingrained in the Serbian population here. In the lower mainland as well, and they'll certainly take Aleksa on board and make him feel at home here. And he seems a guy like he's already speaking in English, so that's positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited by this. Like, his output isn't huge, but then Seba's only really kind of broken out in the last 12 months with his output. Yeah. I think I've watched a little bit of game tape of him and video highlights. I think he's more a 6 than an 8. but I think he'll complement Kubis. I think he's better than Laraz. I'm excited to see what he can bring. We might not see the best of him till next year, though. And going back to those earlier comments, that isn't necessarily what we need just now.
No, and that's always the issue. Aside from Thomas Mueller kind of landed last year and kind of hit the ground running, but there's not been a lot of Whitecaps mid-season signings that kind of just came, flying out of the gate.
No, and there's not a lot of players like Thomas Mueller that's joined the Whitecaps either. He's a special kind of guy.
Exactly. I think there will need to be some patience in terms of his integration and when he'll actually really be contributing to the side.
Well, there doesn't feel a lot of patience in some of the fan base right now. No. That is part of the issue.
So if my Ranko question to you was a positive, like, hey, maybe this means Ranko's could get re-signed, do you feel in the bigger picture, Michael, that this is potentially Kubas type replacement? Like bigger picture? Like in a year or two? Or?
Kubas loves it here. His family love it here. I think it would take a special club coming in for him to go. There has been interest for years now in him, and he's happy to be here. So I don't necessarily think that, but he is definitely a guy then that could fill that void if Kubas does go. But I don't think we lose Kubas unless a big team come in for him, which is possible.
Exactly. Kubas, even just being a part of and his role in it, for Paraguay at the World Cup, I think opens more doors for him. And I can see a moment coming for him where Axel's like, yeah, we can't say no to this. Like the money's too good, the opportunity for Kubas is too good. We have to be open to this. Now, some of the rumors we've heard, I don't think are on that scale. But
it's media and clubs putting stuff out there. Andres is not going anywhere this year.
Yeah, but maybe this guy is part of the future.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know that he is the player that we need right in this moment. That is part of the problem. Because I would have liked to have seen a more experienced number 8 coming in. Now, we've got another number 8 that looks to be coming in, and it's a guy we've been talking about for several weeks on the show, several months on the show, in your case, from a VFC point of view, Emrick Fotsing. And I said, I think 2 episodes ago, I think he would be a great guy to come into the Whitecaps. You didn't necessarily see it happening. There's various reasons for that, but it's going ahead. It's not official at the time of recording this, but Emrick Fotsing joining the Whitecaps from Vancouver FC. He's 18, turns 19 next month. He has excelled at VFC in limited minutes as well, we've got to say. Like, he's not been overly used there. So I think the best is still to come from him.
Yeah, I saw some comments online about that in the last couple of days. I think people forget that this is 2 times this year where he's been away with the national team and both times come back injured.
Yeah.
And so that injury earlier on kept him out.
So he fits the Whitecaps perfectly.
Exactly. So he hasn't been available for all the games, which has limited his games. I would agree, and I've talked to Martin Ash about this and asked questions from Martin Ash about this, about his the amount of minutes he has been in certain games. And early on in the year, as he was coming back from the injury, Martin was really careful with him to not start him as much, to have him as kind of an impact sub to help transform games. And kind of once he came through a phase like that, then he became a starter. But again, for me, a lot of times was still taken off too early for my personal liking, although I understand Martin trying to protect him and all that kind of stuff. And then he's missed games because he's been away with the national team. So some people saying, I saw one person saying, Vancouver FC doesn't play young players. They only play over 30s. I was just like, tell me you don't really watch Vancouver FC games without telling me you don't watch Vancouver.
I know. It's a young side at the moment. There are some experienced guys in because you have to have that or you're not going to be sitting third in the table.
Yeah, but when you look at the team and who do you have? You have Campagna, you have Ba, you have Proctor, you have Emrick. There's all these, and I know I'm forgetting some other guys. You have these guys who They're not just like they're main contributors to the team. Yeah, you have one your captain who's a keeper is in his early 30s. You have a Nicholas Mosqueda who's an incredible impact player who's in his 30s.
Maury Donner.
Maury Donner's in his early 30s, but has been a revelation at right back. He's a Canadian.
I wasn't sure about him, I've got to say, when he came, but
yeah,
he's impressed. But I mean, you've been high on Fotsing from the minute you saw him.
Yeah.
And like, he's a guy, he's come through the Quebec system. He was invited to train with Bologna, obviously the Saputo connections there, and he had 3 weeks with their U17, U18. And then he took part in January 24 with CF Montreal's first team pre-season, then played with CF Montreal's under-23 side in League One Quebec in 2024. And then Montreal let him go. He's not the first young player that Montreal's let walk, and probably rue letting him walk. And I have seen some Montreal fans question, what are we doing here? Why are we letting these players walk and then other MLS teams or whatever are signing these guys? And we questioned at the time, like when we saw how good he was initially at VFC, I said to you, how on earth did Montreal let him just go?
Quick comment on that. Do you think it's partly because they lack that second team in Montreal?
I think 100%.
A lack of a place for him to
There's
go.
A big gap from the first team to a League One side.
Yeah, which is
they're stupid for not having a second team.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, and we could talk a lot about maybe the ambitions or the approach of Joey Saputo when it comes to Montreal. It feels like his first love has been overtaken by his mistress in Italy, that is Bologna.
Well, I mean, that happens all the time. He came to VFC in February 2025, signed on an exceptional young talent contract. I just love that title. No pressure on the guys, but you're an exceptional young talent. He was signed through the 2027 season with an option for 2028. VFC have brought him on slowly but steadily, and he's impressed. And he's impressed me. And I was aboard the Fotsing train this year, having seen him. And I know you would have preferred he maybe went to Europe, but I was like, I'd love him here at the Whitecaps. And now we've got him here at the Whitecaps.
Yeah, so a few things about all this. One is, and this plays into another part of the narrative that we'll touch on in a second, another part of the story that we'll touch on in a second. I don't think Emrick Fotsing comes to Vancouver FC without witnessing the signing and the development of Grady McDonald. And the moving on to Europe of Grady McDonald. Like I think he spoke about it, or his people or his parents or whoever spoke about it at the time of when he signed and early on, was that, or at least the club definitely put that out there, that, hey, one of the reasons why he chose us was because he saw what we did with Grady. Obviously, Grady has had mixed experiences in Europe. It hasn't really panned out at Club Brugge's second team in Belgium, but now he's been transferred for relatively, my understanding is relatively the same fee that Club Brugge or Club Next paid for him to the Eagles, has been transferred to Nottingham Forest.
And he's doing well.
He's done okay in preseason. It'll be interesting to see how that all kind of plays out. But anyways, that's a part of this story. I don't think you have Emrick Fotsing in the CPL at Vancouver FC without Grady McDonald. And the Grady McDonald thing is important because he's a player that Vancouver FC signed as a kid, on a free whatever, out of the Whitecaps Academy, because at his age they can't hold rights, or however it works, right?
Yeah, and he wanted to challenge himself against older guys in the CPL as opposed to the MLS Next Pro, where it's a lot younger.
Yeah.
And that is certainly a problem going forward from the Whitecaps' point of view. MLS Next Pro, I think, is showing it's not necessarily the best option for some of these young guys.
And that the Vancouver FC signing Grady, I think, put a strain on the relationship between the Whitecaps and Vancouver FC, as one could imagine, right?
Yeah, we've both talked to folk on both sides of the organisations that have their own very strong opinions on how that one's played out.
Yeah, which is understandable. But that's the thing. When Berhalter was becoming official, so July 27th, I began to, how shall I say, connect with people with people to talk about this very topic we're talking about right now. And I said, is it not a possibility that to help fill the Berhalter hole, that the Whitecaps would look at a player like Emrick Fotsing? And I was told initially that the strain in the relationship might make it very unlikely or not possible. So I kind of left it there. Okay, there's no reason to follow up on this. It seems like it's not an option. And I even said, I said to you at the time too, like, I as much as I would love Emrick to go to Europe, even when you look at someone like Grady, who had a difficult transition, and you look at other CPL players like Tristan Borges, Dan Klomp, other players who had difficult experiences in Europe and have, come back to the league instead, I thought, maybe the Whitecaps and MLS would be the better current option for him, or the better part of his development pathway. Now, Michael, I haven't talked to you about this, but are you okay if I make some guesses at how this played out? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
You could edit this out if you think this is going to cause you problems. I think what has happened in this, Michael, because again, July 27th is not that long ago, right? But what has happened between now and my initial inquiries about him being a possibility for the Whitecaps is he went to be with the U20s. And this wasn't just any U20s. This is a U20s being coached by Jesse Marsh and Mauro Biello. And my guess is both of those individuals, or one of them, probably Jesse Marsh, who has spoken very highly of Emrick, of having seen him and having coached him or whatever, and seen him in the system. I think my guess would be is there was a strong encouragement to say, look, you've spent 1.5 years in the CPL. In essence, you've proven enough at this level. You should be challenging yourself at taking the next step. And maybe you don't need to go to Europe right away. You should look at MLS, and why not go to a club like the Whitecaps, who has shown that they are willing to play young players in this era. Yeah. And they're willing to give that platform. They have a coach who seems willing to do that, to not just put you on because you're young and we need to try it out or whatever, but if you're good enough, he'll put you in and make you an integral part of what they're doing. And so how I think this played out, as I think that's where this started, and it went from those experiences at the U20 camp. And I think the person who played the biggest role in this is probably, aside from Jesse Marsh, is probably like Emrick's family, Emrick's agent, saying, this is what I would like to do. This is what I want to have happen. This is what I want for the next step of my career. I want to go to the Whitecaps. And I think that's how these two parties, that have discord, have come together to make what seems like a very reasonable deal for all involved come to fruition and play out, like I think we'll see in the coming days.
I mean, that would make sense, actually. And if you think about it from his point of view, he's familiar with BC. He's been living here now. He's got family and friends. Well, not family here, but he's got friends here. If he's going to go to Canadian side, Montreal's probably not going to try and bring him back, but you never know. There's definitely been interest in him from other MLS teams. Toronto just now, the last thing he needs to do is to go into that dumpster fire as a young player. The young players they've been playing the last couple of years, it's been so tough on them because of results.
And they just signed an experienced European to a similar position, yeah. And
it's like everything you've said there, like Jesper will play him. If he feels that he's good enough, he will get him minutes, he'll integrate him in the team. And we've got to remember, he's going to be 19 in September. Mm-hmm. He's so young. He's got a lot of years ahead of him. And the next 2 to 3 years for his development are crucial. And I think he's now coming into the right environment. And I hope that this leads to smoother paths between the Whitecaps and VFC. It's been testy at times, and a lot of it VFC have brought on themselves, whether it's like Shan Handel's comments or like poking the bear. And I get why that was done in the early stages of, hey, we're trying to make an impact in the market. We're trying to get disenchanted Whitecaps fans. But unfortunately for VFC, it came at the worst time when the Whitecaps were starting to be in an upward trajectory and they just couldn't get going. And then
Yeah.
it has that you take Grady and things like that. You don't know what's been said behind the scenes and how easy it is for both parties to work together. So hopefully this is something now, because what I would like to see is, I know CPL fans, VFC fans, you might not like this either. The CPL is definitely below MLS, and it's a chance, if you've got a good player locally, for me, the obvious next step is, if he's doing well at VFC, the next step, if he doesn't go to Europe, is to go to MLS, and it's to go to the Whitecaps if you're at VFC.
Yeah.
Same
That
with
makes sense.
Calgary. For me, the next step would be VFC because it's the closest team. And I'd like to see maybe a Cian Proctor move to the Whitecaps if he doesn't go to Europe. But right now, the way he's trending, it's like I would like a relationship like this. I would also like it to go the other way. Going back to what I was saying about MLS Next Pro, look, we've got these guys. I don't think this is the best testing environment for them. Why don't they go on loan to VFC for the year?
So it does need to be noted that as far as I can recall, this is actually technically the second deal that's been done between the two clubs, because of course the Whitecaps, I think on two separate occasions, made the loan deal to VFC. Vasco Fry came in on loan, I think technically twice before he ended up signing on a free. So it's the second time that they have worked together, and now it's kind of been one each way, sort of, in one sense, you could say it like that. Hopefully this can be maybe the beginning of more fruitful things for both of them, because you're right.
But I think having Martin, Nash, and Nick Gazdag there helps big with that relationship building.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like we should all want both teams to do well. The clubs need to work together for the better good of BC football and for both clubs as well. And I think we will see that.
So kudos to our friend Manuel Veth for kind of breaking the story and putting it out there. I just added a few things that I heard that were supplemental to what he said. I've heard 350,000 US is the price, but there are other amounts in there that I think Manu reported that there were maybe 150,000 in add-ons. I've heard a number that would maybe make things more in line with Mr. Bogart. But I think the most significant, or the potentially most significant thing in all of this, is the 20% add-on. So that's what I've been told. That is set in the agreement, and it would obviously have the potential to have a significant windfall for Vancouver FC down the road, which then could, because it is their record transfer now, and with the potential future dividends from it, could become the record in the league, because the record in the league is like 500,000 euros for
Sam Salter.
No. This is a bit of a trick question. Kwasi Poku.
This also works good as to what you were saying earlier about the whole Grady situation. That's two players now that the club's moved on. I know they've moved on others. There's two big players.
Yeah, so technically there's five. So there's TJ.
James Cameron. Oh, I forgot all about TJ.
Tahid, James Cameron, Emrick, Grady, and even though the figure won't, move the needle,
Tyler Crawford
to Vietnam, which is great for him, and I'm really excited for him and happy for him, and hope that this is a meaningful stint in his career and leads to even more for him. But I don't think that you can devalue that, because again, I think I said this as response to someone on social media. All of those players, Michael, as far as I understand, were brought in for free, and they've all gone out and have produced revenue for the club. Excellent
return, and it's great. Will Fotsing be with the Whitecaps this year? Will we get loaned to VFC?
Yeah, it's been confirmed for me that and Manu has also reported this, that it's the loan back to VFC for the remainder of the season is
definite.
Is a definite thing.
Right.
Yeah, I just want to say, I know we've said this on the podcast before, but because lots of people are asking, oh, what type of player is he, or where's he going? Like how is he going? What hole is he going to fill for the Whitecaps? in his time at VFC under different coaches have been used in different ways, right? Like under Gottby occasionally would play him wide in midfield, like almost on the wing, which I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting. But he still would get performances out of him. He would get contributions out of him even in a position like that. He is more of a 6 to 8, but he is as you see, if you, I know some of our listeners, their exposure to him might be limited to these 2 opening games in the under 20 CONCACAF tournament that just took place. But he is a player who he can run all day. He can win back possession, no problem. He has good range of passing, but yeah, I think he gets assists, but he can continue to grow in that. And he can score. And he can score in so many different ways. When you look at his goals for Canada, for VFC, he's got a bunch from like headers from corners or headers from crosses, which is impressive and helpful for any team in this kind of era of football. But he can also kind of score goals you don't expect him to. That goal he scored away to Valor in his first year, kind of not acrobatic, but like just the physicality and the flexibility that he has. He can provide a lot for the Whitecaps potentially kind of going forward. And you saw that, I think, really well in his performances with Canada.
Yeah.
So he can be a 6, he can be an 8, he can even be pushed a little bit further forward if you absolutely needed. And I think he'll get goals. I think he'll get assists. And people are like, oh, can he play in the Whitecaps first team? I believe absolutely. His ceiling, the potential for this kid to me is so high. And I've said this before on the podcast. No one can out and out replace Atiba Hutchinson for Canada, but he is a player that reminds me of Atiba in so many ways and has the potential to make Canadian supporters just feel nostalgic for Atiba when they see him hopefully one day play for the full national team. And I hope the Whitecaps get to see that. And he also even having those kind of like long legs like Atiba, like the octopus that Atiba was for Besiktas fans. I feel like he can kind of be the new octopus for Canada and potentially an incredibly dynamic young player for the Whitecaps.
Yeah, so 2 midfielders coming in this window, maybe a third. We won't spend too much time talking about this because I'm not really sure about this one at all. I mean, it's exciting in theory. Daniel Gazdag, 30-year-old Hungarian, lit it up in his 4 years with Philly. 72 goals and 24 assists in 161 appearances across all competitions for the Union.
That's massive.
That saw Columbus shell out $4 million in a cash transfer in the summer of 2025. But then he struggled in what then became a poor Columbus team. And he's got 9 goals and 5 assists in 51 appearances, and a few of these are from penalties. He only has 3 goals in 14 MLS appearances this year. So the rumours last week were that Columbus were going to buy out his contract, which when you've just spent $4 million on a player the year before seemed mind-boggling to me. And I just thought it was all talk, but genuinely it hasn't been. And the Whitecaps would get him on a free transfer, which if you're getting the Philadelphia Gazdag, incredible business. But even if you're getting the Columbus Gazdag, a free transfer for a guy that cost $4 million a year ago is insane to me. And I didn't understand why Columbus would do this. Until today, when all these rumours have come out tonight that Joseph Martinez looks to be coming back to MLS, to Columbus, as a DP, so they had to make room for that, which is why they're doing the buyout for Gazdag. Yeah. Now, you have to think there's going to be other clubs that would want to bring him in. All Day GJ said on Twitter, how do you think Gazdag would fit into the Whitecaps' best 11? And therein lies the problem, potentially.
Yeah, because I might not have the right perspective on this, but I thought, wasn't one of the reasons why his production, or at least part of the reason why his production has kind of dwindled with the crew, is because at Philly he was much further forward on the field, and with Columbus they have him more like further back in the midfield.
I think so.
So that's
unless Jesper's changing his system, which he could.
No, but that's the crazy thing is, it's not just an observation about that, but if you're bringing him to the Whitecaps, where you have Ryan Gold as a potential attacking midfielder or winger, you have Thomas Muller as ideally an attacking midfielder. Where does this dude fit in? Right? Like,
I don't know.
So maybe it is a switch to a 4-1-4-1 or something, and it's a drastic change. But even that would feel weird because then you're having Ryan Gazdag, Muller, and Sabi with Kubas behind them and White in front of them.
I mean that would work. That's the only way I could see it working.
That feels like someone playing EAFC. That doesn't necessarily feel like it could be successful for the long term for the Whitecaps. I might be wrong. I'd be happy to be proven wrong on that. But it just feels like too much going forward.
Yeah, especially because how shaky the defence has been. But that is the only way I could see it working as well. It's very exciting as to what that could be. And I don't know enough about Gazdag's defensive responsibilities, like winning the ball back. I just picture him scoring goals, assisting with goals.
Yeah.
If we could get not even like the 100% Philly Gazdag, but a 75% Philly Gazdag in a 4-1-4-1, wow.
The other concern, Michael, would then also have to be is a fair criticism or even just more observation of the Whitecaps, even since the World Cup, has been, and I don't think it came up in any of the things online, but has Jesper figured out how to get the best of Ryan and Thomas on the field at the same time? So if you haven't been able to get the best of them, and now you're going to add in this other, it feels like that's going to take some time to work. But again, I would agree that it's an exciting prospect, and it would be a good problem to have if you can make it work.
Yep. What you don't want is another Damir Krylak situation where he's been great before, had gone off the boil, you bring him in hoping he's then going to suddenly get back on boil, and it just doesn't work out. Now, obviously, Gazdag's a lot younger than Krylak and hasn't had the back injuries and everything that sadly Damir had. The other way I was looking at it was that have the Whitecaps thought, look, we can't replace Sebastian Berhalter in the short term. So it does force us to do things a little bit differently. That could be the case. Maybe it's just a 6 month or a 1 year thing to the end of the short season as well. It could be as well that they feel this lets them rest Ryan Gold a little bit. Doesn't mean Thomas Muller has to start every game. And they manage their minutes a little bit more.
Yeah, totally.
I put it out to some folk today, and it came back to say they've had nothing new in the last few days on this. He has been playing for Columbus, so we'll wait and see. If they can pull this off and we get the Gazdag of old, very excited by this.
It could be that thing that helps them win the West. It could be the kind of thing that helps them reignite the fight for the Supporter Shield and obviously help them win the other titles they're vying for, like MLS Cup and in the Voyageurs Cup.
Yeah.
And
it's a statement signing as well. It's a statement of intent.
Yeah, which would be in that respect alone, I think it would be huge for this team, huge for the fans, and like huge for the city on the whole.
Last couple of things quickly. Whitecaps news of the week. This is turning into a very long podcast. I wasn't expecting. I should have, since how long it took me to put the rundown together. Huge congratulations, first of all, Ralph Priso. He signed an extension with the club through to the 28-29 MLS season with an option for the 29-30 season. 42 starts, 79 appearances across all competitions for the Whitecaps. And we know that he's just exploded in the last year, going from strength to strength with that move to centre-back. Delighted to see this. Great to see the reward. Let's celebrate that for Ralph.
Yeah, congrats to him. Well earned. A quality dude who's just coming to his own at the Whitecaps, and you just excited to see more, and hoping that as he continues to excel for the Whitecaps, he integrates more and more into the national team as well.
And we're celebrating Ralph. I'm not diminishing his extension, not shitting on his parade, But let's hope this is the first of a treble centre-back extension, and we see Mati Laborda and Ranko Veselinovic as well.
Mm-hmm.
And last bit of Whitecaps news, Thursday morning, the Whitecaps launched their new kit, the third kit. We talked on it a few weeks ago when it was leaked, the archive kit. Quote, bringing a fresh look inspired by elements from the club's history as Vancouver 86ers, an identity inseparable from the city's passion for soccer. And it's the 40-year anniversary of the 86ers being launched. They didn't play their first season to 87, but they became a club in 1986 around Expo 86. And I've got to say, it's grown on me since the first leak, but I'm still not a huge fan.
Yeah, but the first leak, the early leaks of this, the shade doesn't come out right. It doesn't look...
Oh, to your colourblind eyes, I still think you're not seeing it right.
Oh, okay. Let me put it this way. When I've seen the leak, I was not super excited. When I've seen the jacket in person, I'm like,
the jacket is smart.
This is going to be great because the jacket is the same color as the shirt, right?
Yeah, I love the colours. I think the colours are superb. It's a bold blue, a vibrant yellow. It's got red accents. I've started to even like the Vancouver across the chest. On the back of the jacket, it's very smart. I'm not sold with the dogwood flowers. I think that takes away from it for me a bit.
Yeah, but they're iconic locally, right?
Yeah, but I like dogs. I like wood. Dogwood together on the front of a jersey, not so much.
Oh, Michael.
And on that note, I think that is it for this part and most of the Whitecaps chat. We've still got a big game the weekend to get to, but we're going to talk CPL a little bit to kick off the next part after we hear the second song of this episode from our Artist of the Month.
Hi, I'm Ralph Briso, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part is a song that we've featured in snippets before when we are bringing you some interviews for Pacific FC. It's our second cover version from the fall this episode. The song Victoria, a cover of the 1969 song by English legends The Kinks, taken from their 1969 concept album, Arthur, or The Decline and Fall of the British Empire. The Kinks single reached number 33 in the UK charts, number 62 in the Billboard Hot 100 in the US, and number 9 in some Canadian charts. The Fall released their version of the single on January 18th, 1988. It was their 21st single as a band, and it gave them their second biggest ever chart success, reaching number 35 in the UK charts. And like the song we played to kick off part 2, you can also find it on the band's 10th studio album, 1988's The Friends Experiment. And we'll be back with 2 more songs from the fall next time around. So the reason I played that song, of course, Zach, Victoria, home of, and I'm using this in inverted commas, their professional football team, Pacific FC. Pacific heading to Langley on Friday night, the latest CPL BC derby. Pacific have now gone a full calendar year without a win. A historic winless drought. It's over 365 days now after their 1-1 draw with Inter Toronto on August 8th. Their last victory came on August 10th last year against Vancouver FC, who were going through a homeless streak without a win themselves. Yes, they went homeless. Homeless streak without a win. So that's 26 games now for Pacific FC without a win. 25 in the league, 1 in the Can Champ. They now meet an in-form and high-flying VFC on Friday evening. A reversal of fortunes from last year. And Pacific winless to start the 2026 CPL season. They've drawn 4. They've lost 11 of their 15 games. They're sitting on just 4 points. 22 points behind Vancouver, who are sitting in 3rd. 20 behind Ottawa, who are in the 4th and final playoff place. 13 games to go. They could still reach 43 points if they unlikely win out for the rest of the season. It's more a case, I think, of when are they officially going to get eliminated from playoff contention, and will they set the lowest ever points total for a 28-game season, which is 20, which was set by Edmonton in 2022, and we know what happened to them. And VFC last year had 21 points. This is set, Zach, for being a record-breaking season for Pacific for all the wrong reasons.
I'm going to employ the wise saying that those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. So yeah, as someone who has followed, supported, covered VFC, I don't feel like it's my place to be super negative about the moment that Pacific finds himself in. Yeah, it's really, really unfortunate. It cost James Merriman his job, which is, sad and unfortunate. It was great to see him out at the Hope and Health event at BC Place a week or so ago. But it's given another Canadian coach in Terry Dunfield the opportunity to come in and cut his teeth in this environment. And
Big tail.
He's already things are already happening. He's already bringing in players. He's already getting rid of players.
Yeah, Baldy has moved on.
Yeah, mutual termination, I think you said. And they've signed a couple guys, Pipegrass and
Sean Hindle. Yeah. We touched on that last time. You don't have to spew your hate.
Yeah, I won't say anything about that. But anyways, I feel for them. I feel for their supporters. It's a very difficult situation.
I'm worried about the support because the attendances, they've not been horrible, but they've not been great. The longer this goes on, as soon as they're officially eliminated, what's the selling point to get fans along to games and bums on seats?
I assume there's not super upside to it all, but does it help with the desire to be at Royal Athletic Park? Like if
maybe
things continue
we've got the election coming up as well, which is going to dictate a few things. I mean, it also doesn't help when we're trying to speak to their head coach and we can't get a reply to our emails, but we're hoping it's because of vacation reasons.
Yeah.
But we had hoped to speak to Terry ahead of the derby just to make this a 5-hour show.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel for them. I hope they don't get their first win on Friday night. But
I have to find a way to watch that because I only have one soccer through TELUS, and TELUS doesn't work when you're out of the States. I do have on my TV in the place that we're staying in a couple of the Fox channels, so I'm hoping it's on one of them. If not, I'll just watch the highlights.
Everyone knows you'll find a way, Michael. But yeah, outside of their games against Vancouver, I do kind of hope they do turn a corner. I do, honestly, for their sake, I hope they finish above that 20, the 20-point mark, or maybe level on the 20-point mark, because you got to keep Edmonton at the bottom.
Yes.
At the bottom of
I
it
mean,
all.
they're up for sale.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any serious concerns that as the league's looking to add expansion teams, we could lose one of the originals?
I wasn't shocked about Edmonton. I wasn't shocked about Valor. I would be I would be.
Yeah, I would be as well.
I would be a little bit shocked about Pacific. I don't think there's a desire to let that happen. Plus, I mean, part of the struggle, Michael, which I think we've talked about, is this whole relocation and a potential transition to a Royal Athletic Park and a separation from the community of Langford. Also, part of what needs to be addressed in all that is the club's investment into the infrastructure at the site at Starlight Stadium, and surrounding Starlight Stadium. It's not insignificant, as as some might think it is. So,
I mean,
yeah.
I was all for them moving to downtown. I felt they should. Rat was the place to go. I've totally changed my mind now. I want them to stay at Starlight because it's easier for me to get there from Qualicum Beach.
Oh yeah, you're new.
I worked it out, and it is 20 minutes quicker for me to get there without any traffic than to go to downtown. So yeah, stay at Starlight, guys.
You'll be one of the
But
few
have a
who
better
feel that
team.
way.
Yeah, I might be one of the few there. Now, VFC, on the other hand,
Yeah, rolling.
just went to Hamilton, shocked Forge with a 1-0 victory. Not as shocking as it would have been in previous seasons, but still, any time you go to Hamilton and you win against Forge, it is a bit of a shock. A 5th straight CPL victory in which they've scored 14 goals. They've given up just 2. They've kept 3 clean sheets. For me, right now, at the halfway stage of the season, Martin Nash, surely you're looking at him as coach of the year. And the likes of Kean Proctor, you're looking at as maybe young, under 21 player of the year. Golden Gloves, Callum Irvin could be in the mix.
Well, yeah, Callum Irving, I think, is kind of deserving on a historical level. The clean sheets, I think, in this are huge, especially a way to Forge, where Callum made a couple of absolutely massive game-saving saves.
Yeah.
He was named Player of the Week, I think, even for his.
I missed that.
Yeah, I think it was Player of the Week, and
I saw Kean was back-to-back under 21 Player of the Month, which is great.
And Martin was back-to-back Coach of the Month. So,
that I missed as well.
There's all kinds of good things happening, encouraging things happening. Yeah, they need to do all they can to kind of continue in this way, not get derailed, not have any setbacks, and kind of just keep the momentum going. There's an outside chance, if they do, that they could actually battle at the actual top. But I think the minimum goal remains to get into the postseason. And I think once they're in the postseason, they're a club that can win. I mean, you go away to Forge. Obviously, they've never won an actual game. They've won a series on penalties away to Cavs, but they've finally beaten Cavs for the first time ever. There's so many things where it's they could beat these other teams. The 4th team, obviously, right now is looking like it will be Ottawa. And again, I think they've had Ottawa's number enough over the last couple of seasons in different competitions where they'll feel confident if they were to come up against them. But no, it's so many encouraging things. All those like we were talking about earlier in the episode, their performances earlier in the year that were deserving of 1 point or 3 points, they're now getting those 3 points because they're actually finishing all those incredible chances they're getting.
Well, like Amisi, who I thought was a bit of a bust, has started to find a bit of form as well now. Lise Mousset is scoring and actually looking good.
Yeah, I think is it 7 for Mo Amisi, which is great. And Ba's involved. Ba's setting things up. And being
Ba had a
involved.
shaky start to the year. I think a lot was expected from him this year, and he struggled, I think, for me in the first 2 months. I was not impressed with him at all, but he's turned it around. And I think Kean coming in as well at left back adds so much going up that left wing.
Donner's been huge on the right.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be just one big kebab, but it turns out he's actually he's meaty in a good way.
Yeah.
But all jokes aside, if you can get out to Willoughby on Friday night, go and watch this game. I'm gutted I'm missing it in one way, but obviously I'm enjoying my time down the coast. My lungs and heart is full of sea air. My stomach is full of baked goods, but I'll be watching from afar.
One important note is that originally, if you're like me at the beginning of the year, you write on your calendar matches. This has switched from a 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. kickoff. I've been told that that's due to logistical reasons. I kind of hope part of the logistical reasons is so that traveling fans could maybe potentially get home on the same night of the game, which would be nice. The more away fans you have in a stadium, I find typically the better. That there's a couple of cases where maybe that wouldn't be ideal. No, the more Pacific fans that can get this, I think it'll be better for the atmosphere in this game. And yeah, 6 o'clock kickoff on a Friday night. So yeah, you got to get there early because traffic on these weekends going out from the city to the valley is pretty.
Any Friday traffic going out is usually horrendous. But yeah, get out if you can. They are a team that is definitely worth your support this year. And yeah, we'll talk more about the derby in next week's show. So we're going to get back talking Whitecaps now to round off the show. And as you know, we usually finish the show with this episode's wavelength. But I'm going to bring you a little bit earlier in the final part this week because we're going to play a song that is going to tie in with the Whitecaps' next game, the big road trip to Seattle on Sunday. Away days are one of the best things in football and following your team on the road. And in this episode's wavelength, we're going to bring you a song called Away Days by four-piece London band, the Skinner Brothers. They're a band I've really got into quite a lot in the last, year or so, I would say. Formed in 2018, they've released 7 studio albums, 9 EPs, all independently. They don't want to be on a record label. They do it all on their own terms. Their most recent sound is quite different from the song you're going to hear here. I really love their recent stuff. I love their early stuff as well. But this is a song from 2022 from their album Soul Boy 2. This is the Skinner Brothers, Away Days.
These pipes with the lights in the morning time, police their clash of our colours. We say it to the songs on a jukebox like, yeah, old English brothers. So no one gonna bring us down. 3 points up and then 1 down. You talk a lot, I don't see you round. Saturday mornings when I hear the sound, I say, hey, hey. I live for them away day, feeling half cut on Sunday. Oh God, she left me by Monday. I said, hey, hey, you hear the sound of the UK. When lions sing, we get crazy. Oh, I live for them away day. Stand up till the day I die. 10 verse 5, mate, we won't fly. Might shake to the bottom, but we'll get to the top. Keep on fighting, mate, we're never gonna stop. And I don't need no placebo. Cool in the gang's all I need, bro. I spent all my money on that go-go. And I sweet to mom, I'm regretting it, no. I said, hey, hey, I didn't find them away day, feeling half cut on Sunday. My girl, she left me by Monday. I said, hey, hey, you hear the sound of the UK. When lions sing, we get crazy. Oh, I live for them away day.
The Skinner Brothers away days. And we're going to round off this episode by talking about the big away day for Whitecaps fans on Sunday. Seattle away, ole, ole. Seattle away, ole, ole. Seattle away, Seattle away, Seattle away, ole, ole. Which my wife is sleeping in the room right behind me, and it's 2:05 in the morning, so she's going to love that rendition. But yes, mentioned we're both heading to that, you down, me up. And Seattle Sounders, not in the best run of form. They last won an MLS match on May 13th, defeating the Earthquakes 3-2 at Lumen Field. Since then, they've played 6, lost 6, scored 3, conceded 14, and 2 of those games were before the World Cup break, 4 have been after. They've lost twice to Portland in that run, and it means the Whitecaps just need 1 more point from their 2 matches against Seattle to win a record-increasing 9th title, back-to-back cups, their 3rd in the last 4 years, and it's going to be over 300 Whitecaps fans travelling down for the trip, the largest official number travelling with the supporters group post-COVID. Tremendous to see. I just hope they get the performance that that number deserves.
Yeah, all encouraging signs. I don't know if we've ever talked about this before, but that the Seattle loss in Portland. So I don't know if you remember years and years ago, it was a game in Seattle, and the Seattle, the ECS and the Seattle fans did a display, and it was basically like "Welcome to your nightmare," and then like Portland thrashed them, won by like 4 goals or something, and they were like chanting about it all night long. And literally, I think every home game since then, and you can go back and check, and we just saw the most recent one, the Timbers Army has chosen to do their display based on a horror film. So remember they did like the Freddie Krueger one, right? Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
And this year they did Hell. Do you see the Hellraiser? Did you see the full?
Yes.
With all
I had when we last spoke about this on the phone or wherever we were chatting, but then I saw the full thing on Instagram and it's like, oh.
So you saw the peel away and the smoke. And,
loved that.
Yeah.
I love a peel away.
I forget what other they've done a bunch of other horror movies. I got to look them up, but those are 2 that stick out for sure. Freddy Krueger and this most recent Hellraiser. Yeah, it is a huge opportunity for the Whitecaps to lift a trophy. I know sometimes we talk about this trophy in terms of it not bringing, qualification to, CONCACAF Champions Cup, or not bringing the club, amount of money that they can invest in players.
And so I had a word with Johnny when he was down in Seattle, and now it's fine. We will now be in the Club World Cup if we win this.
Oh, there you go. Anyways, but it is so important.
Bunged him a few bucks, and he said, "I'll get it done."
Yeah. It is so important to the supporters, and it's massive bragging rights in the most unique and passionate part of the North American or the MLS footballing community. These 3 communities so close, the rivalry so passionate and so strong, and yeah, it would be just great for the Whitecaps to be able to extend their lead at the top of the Cascadia Cup all-time standings. And that that 300 going down are really looking forward to lifting the trophy. And it'll be especially great if they continue the tradition where some of the supporters are allowed down on the pitch to hand out the trophy. I think last year they gave it to Thomas Muller, right?
Yes. I'm looking forward for us drinking out of it during the post-game press conference.
There you go.
Should be fun. You've not been down to Seattle's media before, so it's an interesting experience.
I've only ever been blessed to go to Portland, which is a wonderful place to do to cover games, do media. So much I love it about there. But you've talked to me about this NFL-sized press box and all the wonderful things there.
They have their own barista,
which is lost.
Nathan, when you're listening to this, I still want a barista at BC Place.
Yeah, if the Whitecaps run BC Place, that can be one of the...
Oh, yeah. If the Whitecaps get that, I want my flat whites, oat milk, flat white, nice little cinnamon roll or something on the side.
You know they're trying to increase revenue if they run it, right?
Oh, yeah. But as I've said, my stomach is full of baked goods right now. It's all I can think about. I just hope it is a good game. because it is two of the most out of form teams in MLS play right now.
Yes.
Now, Seattle in the Leagues Cup lost 3-0 to Toluca, beat Querétaro 3-0, and then lost tonight 2-1 to Chivas after taking the lead in that game. They are decimated with injuries. 7 players on the last injury report. Jordan Morris is out with a quad injury sustained in late July. He's going to be out for at least 4 weeks. Kristen Roldan, quad injury during the World Cup. He's back in partial training, but he should be out for Sunday. Yamar, this is sad. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks after a calf injury. Sad for him, sad for the Whitecaps, because I feel we're better when Yamar's on the pitch. Pedro de la Vega, the latest one to go down, continuing to deal with a quad strain after just coming back from knee issues, and he's not ready to return. Nikola Petkovic, long-term injury with a knee. Paul Areola, expected to miss several weeks with a calf strain. Hassani Dotson is managing a hamstring injury. Alex Roldan and Kim Keehee returned from injury against Chivas on Wednesday night, so they should be good to go. Now, for the Whitecaps, we know that Kenji and Bruno are out. Bilal Halbouni is expected to make a full recovery by late summer. Liam McKenzie should be good to be back after being out. Quasi, as we mentioned, is hamstring week to week. Update on Ranko. He's expected to miss 8 to 12 weeks with his latest injury.
Ouch.
Yeah. So, could be back for the playoffs, but
won't be match fit. That's
no. And it's whether Brian is 1 to 2 weeks. My gut thinks he misses this, but it'd be great if he could even be an option off the bench.
He wasn't there on the list, so I assume Nuhu's good to go for the Seattle?
Yes, he's back.
Yeah. So, guarantee at least a yellow card there.
Yeah. So, I think the Whitecaps can come away with a narrow 1-goal victory, 2-1, 1-0. They've just got to get clicking in front of goal. I think they can get it done. I did Seattle radio this week, spoke to our good friend Jackson Feltz. Always love to chat to Jackson before these games. Looking forward to seeing him when we get down there on Sunday. And he said, give me some good news about this. He was not confident for the Sounders at all. Told him about Brian White being out, and he's like, oh, so there is some hope.
You're telling me there's a chance?
But I think the Whitecaps can get this done. But it's going to be a tight game. I don't think it's going to be a classic.
Yeah, I think you're right on all fronts. I think I've talked many times on the show about the high level of respect I have for Brian Schmetzer and his ability to manage a football club and get the best out of players, even when it's not his starting 11.
Yeah, and he's feeling this run hard just now.
Yeah,
As funny as it is watching the Sounders just combust, you see it's really, really hurting him.
Yeah. And despite all those injuries, they still have some massive players, right? Rusnak and they have players who can do damage to the Whitecaps. So yeah, I think
it's going to be 0-0 to late on. It's going to be a 1-0 win, maybe Sabi.
I think 2-1 Whitecaps, and I'm going to go with. I'll agree with you on Sabi. I'm going to say Thomas gets the other, maybe even from the spot. And for Seattle, yeah, I'll go with Rusnak.
Oh, I thought you'd have gone with Diro. He started tonight against Chivas.
That's who Kirk would probably want to score. He enjoys Osaze. He'll want the Whitecaps to win, just to clarify, but he likes Osaze.
If you are heading down to the game, is Kirk coming down with you?
He's supposed to be, yes. We're just working out the logistics on that.
My tip as well, if you're heading down, I did this for the World Cup games, the park and ride at Linwood.
Yeah.
And getting the train in, it does solve a lot of headaches, and it's a lot cheaper. And it was something like $2.70 each way on the train. It was incredible.
For all the games I've gone to at that stadium, which I think is at least 20 to 30, I've never used that train system ever until this last time when the Chadsky and I went to Belgium, Senegal. And we only parked we were downtown still. We parked just a few blocks north of the stadium, so got a little bit cheaper parking. and then took that in, and I was just like, why have I not been doing? Why have I not parked at like Linwood Mall and gone in on it?
The park and ride can fill up, especially midweek. Like when I went down for the US Belgium game, the park and ride was full. I couldn't get in that, so I had to drive down.
Right.
Which was not as big a nightmare as I thought it was going to be. There was an accident on the I-5, so I had to take a back route.
But you get out so close to the stadium.
Yeah. The train is definitely the way to go. So that's my tip for folk. But don't fill up the park and ride in case I decide that I want to park there and I can't get parked.
There's a bus going down too, right? The south side has a bus.
Yeah. So everyone that's going down, have a safe trip, enjoy it, be sensible, and enjoy yourselves and come back with 3 points. That is it for this very long show that already feels like it's over 3 hours.
Yeah,
but, hey, I'm just going to put out whatever it is. I'm not cutting anything out. I haven't got time. It's all going in.
You say that now, and then tomorrow morning you'll message me being like,
Oh, no, screw it. I've decided if they're over 3 hours now, who cares? Our radio slot started as an hour on CITR. And then I just extended it without asking anyone to 2 hours at the radio station because we were the last show on. Then I just extended it to 3 hours. And now I just send whatever, whether it's 3.5.
Oh my goodness.
We'll be soon on the radio going up to the 7 a.m. morning show. This one could be that show. So let's wrap this up. Any final thoughts from you? Any shout outs you want to give?
There's a few things I wanted to shout out this week, and but I'm just going to focus on one, and that is Poppy. 100 goals. So happy, so proud. Kendall Lawson scored his 100th.
I was going to say, you should explain who Poppy is.
Yeah, Kendall Lawson scored his 100th career goal, which is a great feat as a defender. Near post corner from Mariano, left foot of Mariano, and he nodded it in at the head post. And yeah, just so happy for him. Yeah, exciting times for him. Hopefully this is a good year for Saprissa. I can't even remember, what day is it? I think it was in the Copa Centroamericano, I think, which you can watch on One Soccer. Just shout out to him, shout out to the family down in San Jose, and all the best to them for the rest of the season. And I would say 100 more, but I don't think that's quite achievable.
No, well, I just looked up how many he had with the Whitecaps.
He had 16 in MLS, I think.
Was it? Because let me check that again then. Because Wikipedia had it at 14. That was the first thing I checked. And I'll tell you how late and tired I am. I was like,
but he probably had 2 for Columbus or 2 for Cincinnati. Probably.
Oh, right, okay. So it was 14 with the Whitecaps. So this is how tired I am. I was like, let me work out what percentage that is from the 100 goals. Yeah, so obviously 14%. As I put that in the calculator, I was like, yeah, of course it's 14. So I think this is our time to wrap this one up. We'll be back with another show soon. I'm not quite sure when we'll record the next one. We'll work around Zach's schedule. It's a busy week next week because we've got Seattle on Sunday. 3 games in 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle, Houston, Dallas. Or Dallas, Houston, I can't remember the order. But anyway.
Houston's midweek.
Houston's midweek. Hopefully we don't have a problem. We'll be back with another one soon. Until then, as always, thanks for listening. Take care, safe travels if you're going to Seattle, and mon the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
More than a name, that's what we
E